next. There's only one member left from Sentinels. They don't know it! It is here! Viking Gaming!
Nice!
And it's a 1v1! Sorcerer! Shield swap better than enough! Alliance!
Welcome back, ALGS fans, to the back half of our doubleheader today and the final portion of our doubleheader this weekend as we close match day 7 with a highlight that you've all been waiting for in Americas, the return of the rivalry between Zero and Hal, both separate on new teams and going head-to-head for the first time in the official league. We cannot wait. The excitement is palpable. I can feel it from across the screens into your living rooms, and I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great Sunday afternoon or evening. My name is Rain Day. I'll be hosting alongside two gents you know well if you've been watching us earlier on in the day, or if you're just catching the Americas because that's what you're paying attention to. Well, let me introduce them back to you. It's Onset and Gaskin riding along with me in this journey. Mark, this is one that we have been waiting for a very long time.
We're about to eat good, everyone. This is going to be a show to remember, I think. Whatever the result is, one person in particular is going to be far happier than another. And I think it's just, it's going to be a very, very good day of action for a number of reasons. We've got 20 teams in this lobby. We're closing in on regional finals as well. So Poro feels like it's getting closer and closer day by day. And this is the perfect setup for that event.
And I can't get off the headline here, Dan. This is just fireworks. We haven't seen these two against each other since they joined up over a year ago and created the super team. It's now time to put their money where their mouth is in terms of saying who really is on top yet again.
I think this could be the best thing that could have happened for the scene, if I'm completely honest. I mean, yes, okay, they were the super team, they won an event, but I think we've been wanting to see this rivalry for quite some time. Well, we kind of did see the rivalry even when they were on the same team, let's be honest. But now we get to see two of the best IGLs in the world going up against each other once more. And just Hal IGLing again, I think is going to be great for the scene as well.
Decent teams. I would actually say decent friends, good teammates, but even better rivals. And even as you mentioned, across their time on Falcons together, they had different ways of seeing things, and it's resulted in the parting. We'll jump into a little bit more of the details of what's been happening in this midweek break before the split and after the split. But I want to introduce this show topic, which is a rivalry renewed. Mark, it kind of goes without saying, but in many ways, this is a resurgence of an Americas that is maybe the most competitive Americas we've seen in years.
I agree with you. And I think to put kind of a little bit of a caveat on what we're talking about here, we're obviously talking about Hal and Zero going their separate ways, both back in the IGL role. But I think if you're one of the other 18 teams in this lobby today, you have a big chance to make some noise and be like, this isn't just about these two teams. Yeah. We are involved here as well. We want to put in a performance today and be the ones that are spoken about when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great point, just kind of a counterpoint that's going to be running today alongside or maybe underneath the current of the main traffic that people are going to be stopping and seeing with Hal and Zero and what they do. I do think there is an opportunity for these other 18 teams because spotlight's not going to be on them today. Let's just be honest. And so that means there's going to be a lot of room to surprise people when they jump into it. And speaking of how these days have gone, for me, the surprise has been how the Americas have handled things differently in terms of metacomps, shifts, legend bans, and choices on the different maps that have shown up across this doubleheader weekend. So let's go into yesterday's doubleheader and the start of our doubleheader and walk you through some of those match day highlights, because match 1 all the way through match 6 gave me a really great look at what this new patch was going to bring. We saw Gibraltar have a little bit of an entrance earlier on in match day 2. Well, he continued it. and I'm just saying this because in EMEA, if you missed it, there was not a single Gibraltar, I think, all day long. That was really, really surprising. Now, granted, we didn't play Stormpoint. You can see these first 3 games, Stormpoint is here, but you'll also notice when we switch to E-District, the Gibby remains, teams put it to good use. Here, 100 Thieves trying to put it to good use here. We thought this would maybe spell the beginning of some really strong play from 100 Thieves, but it was Unreal Nightmare who would clutch up the win. So THUGGETS and them take the first 2. 100 Thieves back in a final 5, which is a good sign for the consistency of that team. Jin Burton, Verholz, teammates of the 2 IGLs that have now gone separate ways at different iterations of their previous squads that have battled each other. Now looking on the sideline is Orchid Esports. Well, this would start really what would turn into their day, Mark.
It would indeed. And then match number 4, some more familiar names decided to pop up. And it was an interesting day for the underdog because first 3 games felt like the underdogs were having a great day, but it was Grow Gaming who did really come into their own in this game number 4 as we switched over to E-District. It was a fantastic zone read from them, and then it was just about closing out. You see them here, they get some damage done, they have the high ground. It's ROC, which is 2 players alive, and Grow Gaming able to put their first win on the board. Next up, though, we go to South America for a little bit of a celebration. Shopify Rebellion, are eliminated in 4th place. CIMJ down on this low ground. 100 Thieves just a solo. Verholz tries to sneak in and get an extra placement point, or maybe a kill, but as you can see here, Gibby Ult goes down. Team Liquid Alienware just look down from the high ground, finish off that fight, and take home match number 5. Match number 6, ROC got a little bit of revenge though. They were the winners eventually of this. CIMJ once again involved in this end game as Stallions are eliminated just before, but with 1 player down already, it's just a case of finishing this one off. ROC got up to the high ground. They are able to collapse very, very comfortably to leave us with our top 5 from yesterday. And something just to highlight here, some of the big hitters not involved, the likes of Virtus Pro, Shopify Rebellion, having very poor days by their own standards. It's Grow Gaming just at the top of the leaderboards.
And it's momentum. I mean, having the first 3 games and only having 7 points, bringing Hotzik on, he said this is the team at halftime that he thinks could still do it, but they didn't. And that is the pressure that you put upon yourselves. Doesn't mean you have the ability. It just means maybe you have the potential, but you still have to execute perfectly in order to come back. That slow start is not going to be acceptable today for either of the teams we've been talking about. And Dan, I want to go even deeper into why that won't be. It's because while everyone might be playing some pretty good compositions, there's going to be teams that, unfortunately, for those who aren't on top of things, look to counter what has become mainstream.
Yeah, you know me, I love legend bans. They're one of my favorite things. And now, after the inevitable Caustic bans, and particularly on Stormpoint when Newcastle gets banned as well, comms become a lot more open to different playstyles, leading us to the likes of Mad Maggie, for example. After her recent buffs, she became a viable tool in providing a more aggressive playstyle, especially like shutting down Gibraltar teams on Stormpoint, with the bubble being so important to some of those teams' comps and how they're playing. And she also avoids bans at the moment, so it allows players to have something to use for the remainder of the series when Maggie comes in. And we've also seen her paired alongside Crypto for like the Wombo combo effect with the EMP into Wrecking Ball into Bathing in Glory after you've taken down the team. Now, it does change slightly today with E-District and World's Edge being our maps. Americas typically haven't been banning Newcastle until match 4 with these match combinations, so it's likely we're going to see Maggie more going into matches 5 and matches 6. But I'm still excited because Mad Maggie, it does create a different element for these teams where they can get a bit more aggressive and does allow them to play edge a little bit more, where typically they haven't been able to do that before, where they've been kind of falling into the trap of having to play like everyone else, having to play zone, having to get a Newcastle down and having to try and find yourself and force yourself into zone. This just gives you the freedom to maybe play a little bit differently, especially if zone hasn't gone your way. Now, we're also seeing the rise of Wraith, and not just her pick rate, but also how she's being played. Rather than just being seen as like a rotational tool, her portal is being used to initiate fights and kind of pull people out of their comfortable hidey holes. You port in, you give a little pokey poke, you then port back, and hopefully your noise, your commotion, it causes someone to step out and think they can maybe get a third party or force you an ultimate out and gain info. Then either you can port back, get the extreme Giga Chad moment where you take them down, or you can use the portal as a distraction to make a normal rotation in. Now, expect Wraith to be banned match 3 and her probably to be used in that same match, as we likely lose her after match 2, as Alter is usually the one who goes there. Mark, let's talk through these legend bans.
Yeah, I mean, legend band wise, you're seeing Caustic at the top. He's probably the strongest legend. If you don't play him, you're making a mistake in game number 1, in my personal opinion. You have to get the most usage you can. And then you are starting to see maybe a little bit of a change as we see kind of going through the match days. Newcastle's being banned as it is very popular in Americas. Alta, you would imagine, will go pretty early today, considering we're starting on E District. But another contributor to the ability to play these different legends is weapon meta as well, and the little adjustments that were made to some of those marksman weapons. And much like Caustic being the #1 ban, Peacekeeper is still #1. Even with the slight adjustments to that choke damage, it is still very, very strong. But the G7 Scout, as you can see, has now become the most prevalent second weapon. That is for 2 reasons. One, it has the accelerator, and the second is the nerfs to the 30-30. The headshot multiplier now has been reduced slightly, so there's no more 2-tapping people on blue armors. So you're going to see the likes of the charge rifle falling out as well with the nerfs, and all of this contributes to just being able to cross a little bit more ground without being taken down. So all of these things are kind of wrapping themselves together and have to be taken into account for all the coaches, players, compositions. It's just a really fascinating time whenever we have a patch to see what happens afterwards.
It's great to get that analysis, fellas. And, you know, all those things coming in after our midseason patch, which, as you mentioned, yes, adjusted 30-30s, also adjusted the RE45, which if you look at the first start of the season, we had seen in everybody's hands. Now, actually, that nerf, acknowledged by the devs that maybe we went a little too far, actually gave it a little buff in this latest patch. Players still haven't caught on, or at least decided it was worth their time, but we'll see. Maybe we see some moments where the RE45 comes back in. Of course, out of Ballistic Special Arsenal. Can't wait to see what happens with next season or the season afterwards, which other weapons he brings out that are supercharged. Let's go ahead and take over the overall standings on your screen so we can see what this whole day means. Really, this doubleheader has meant to the teams. Everyone has now played 4 series, which means we're going into that 3rd round robin. All these groups, A, B, and C, will play each other once before we go into our regional finals yet again for the 3rd time. And as it stands, KCP are at the top. Grow Gaming, with their win yesterday, go join them at 2nd place after 4. And then SR with their actual decent games the other day, but relatively slow start. They've still managed to do enough after 4 to be in 3rd place. Unreal Nightmare, really maybe one of the bigger surprises. And then ZZ, Oblivion, Falcon, NIP, 100 Thieves, and Rock, many of who will be on display today, rounding out our top 10. Let's dive into who is on display today, though. A few teams kind of jump out at me before we dive into one of them, but Hot Dog Mafia, Rambo, coming back into it. He expressed a little bit of the frustration of having such a highlight when he jumped on that plane, substituted for LAN, and then found a way to become one of the biggest stars in the ALGS for years afterwards, hoping he can rekindle that fire with Madness now off of Furia, and of course Skittle Cakes now separated from Knocked and Dropped. But one of the things that we cannot ignore is obviously the 2 main squads for today. And I'm talking about ZZ and Falcons. Mark?
Yeah, ZZ, or as we call him over the pond, ZZ, which does not roll off the tongue quite so well. What a team. Zero has put his super team together, what he believes is a team that can go on to win the ALGS Championship. And when you've heard him talking about this team, that is the aim for them. That's what they are looking at. They know they're going to have a little bit of work to do to get there, but he believes these are the 2 players who are going to be able to put him on that pedestal, holding that trophy up once again. Sykes, of course, one of the best players in the games. He's going to be outputting damage. It's a former teammate of Zero. He knows what Zero is about. Zero knows what he's about. And Zero, of course, now has the chance to cement himself as a champion and maybe chase down Imperial How. We're going to have that conversation. Who's going to win the most LAN championships? Because I think there's one between them, if I'm not mistaken. And also, at the end, a little bit of a surprise to some, maybe. Funk being that player that's been picked up as that 3rd, the controller player who was, of course, over in Europe competing a little bit earlier in the year on Gaming Gladiators, but now he's back in the Americas. Now he's back with ZZ, and what an opportunity it is for him. Just remember as well, Funk was on Luminosity, who came in the top with 1 kill, 1 team fight away from being champions in Sapporo last time around. So Funk's got pedigree in those big games. Dan, but let's talk about Falcons as well.
Well, we have Imperial Hell back at the forefront, back as an IGL, and it is going to be Guild coming in to replace Zero, of course, previously on that squad and that roster, and now he has the opportunity to maybe be the perfect addition to this team. We know full well that Imperial Hell is a fantastic IGL and is going to be able to lead anyone going forward, but having someone with the firepower of Guild, being able to just go in and 1v3 teams at times, just means this roster becomes even more scary. I mean, we already know what Waltzy can do alongside them as well, but I think mostly like people are excited to see how back as an IGL. I think that even though he is a fantastic fragger and obviously played incredible on this Falcons roster, I think IGLing is what he loves, is what he's passionate about, is what he's confident in, and we are going to see how enjoying the game a little bit more again. So I think this is going to be entertaining to watch, and the real question is, will scrims carry over into Pro League here? Because we know scrims have been very interesting to watch between these two teams right now.
That's a great segue, Dan, because scrims have also given us a lot to watch. And I'm not talking in the battlegrounds. I'm talking about on X, where we've seen their communications for the first time to each other. That's right. Everything is public now. So we have a real good look at maybe how some of these comms were going in the midst of Falcons, which caused that breakup. All jokes aside, you can see Zero giving it to Hal a little bit with that death box. That clip's going to go on for a while. And of course, Hal on the left side saying, you know, the deal. So far 4-0 against that other IGL, and 5-1. Dan, he didn't stop there.
Yeah, he just kept going. He who shall not be named. Is it Voldemort? Is it Zero? I don't know. Does that mean Hal is Harry Potter? I'd give it to him because 7-1, he was dominating. Make it 8-1. Falcons have been getting the last laugh, it would seem, here right now.
And you know, Mark, this is pretty big talking before they actually play an official match. That's why maybe all eyes here on how Zero's going to respond, even though he might not have done the best versus him in scrims. He's got a chance to prove him wrong here.
Yeah, nobody remembers who wins the practice games, remember? Everybody who remembers who wins the big games when it really matters. And if you needed to add fuel to the fire, by the way, this clip's still going on. It's a great example of the infinite ammo amp as well here from Zero. But it wasn't just on social medias, it was in the chats as well. As you can see, Zero went into house stream, said, watch and learn, little fella. And then on a little response coming in from Imperial House saying, nice first block. Better luck next time, which I can only see personally as supporting a friend. That's what I would say. You know what I mean? That's like word positive affirmation, supporting an ex-teammate and a real friend. You want to see them succeed even in their toughest moments.
Well, you know, I think that has just set the table so nicely for what is going to be an amazing feast for the eyes here as an ALGS fan. These two about to suit up and get out onto the pitch in terms of our battlegrounds today. And just a few more things of business before we head into game number 1. We do have to look at as it stands here for the overall championship points. And one of the biggest things about it, so you all know, is that this is a collection of the points tallied throughout the year. So split 1 LAN, the open, you see split 2, and the opportunity at the mid-season playoffs. All of those points, and now split 2 as well, going to combine to earn you the amount of points. And that position is whether you qualify if you are in the top 24. Now, if you win regional finals or you win Pro League, you also earn a spot. You can even do both. If you do any of those, but you're already qualified like Alliance and Gen G, you're going to open up spots for teams down below, which is where TSM and JDG right now are in. Hot Dog Mafia, you can see right behind them, if it ended now, would be about 70 points exactly away. So 71 points being the difference between going to championships or not. A lot of notable teams in there. KCP, who's actually first in our league, look at that, 1794. So they're gonna have to do something like win regional finals, win Pro League, obviously, or have a chance at the LCQ. All of these coming up here, guys, to be big conversation pieces, Dan. But, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't focus on the biggest part of today's show. And that's, of course, the fact that you can use Face It Watch, baby. That's right. You can go and check out Multiview. Just watch how to watch Zero. Now there's 2 different places to go and use your eyeballs, your ears. Well, Face It Watch has got you covered. Even throw up a map screen on the side as well. You know that if you're on mobile, you don't have a TV, your mom said no more iPad time, Timmy. Well, guess what? You could still watch it there, even with the Chromecast on the big screen. When they say you have uninterrupted screen time, son, daughter, friend, you got it. You can watch it your way. The ALGS has never been better. So go to faceit.com/watch to enjoy. Hopefully you guys enjoy Face It Watch. I certainly will. And right now, the cool thing too is if you want more content, except besides the stuff that we're already giving you here, make sure to follow us on our socials. Play Apex Esports on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And of course, twitch.tv/playapex here for our Twitch stream. It's going to be a lot of fun today, guys. And all jokes aside, with Face It Watch taking the top billing, I think just right underneath that, obviously, Howlin' Zero. This is Mark. This is what you dream of. And I do have to say, you brought up a really good point before we jump in and the game's getting ready here, that the legacy of these players was compromised joining each other. I believe that became compromised because they were the best rivals. And yet, as a team, whatever win they got, it was all taken by them. They shared it together. Now, with championships coming up, the biggest tournament we've ever had in the ALGS, one of them is going to be able to be above the other. That is going to say a lot about their legacy. So as we jump into game one and finally see Howlin' Zero take sides against each other again, I hope you guys enjoy and do it justice. I know you will. On set, Gaskin, take it away.
Thank you very much, Rain. I got to say, I was excited for game one, but not as excited as Rain Day is about Face It Watch. But I mean, the rivalry is here, Dan. This is what everyone was excited about. I actually wanted to read something to kind of introduce people to like what it's like to be competitive, because you know me very well at this point. We've known each other for a number of years. You know I am a competitive man in every single sense of the word. And I actually am going to blame my dad for this, right? Because he invited me a little bit earlier in the week to play golf with him. And I was like, I get back from it's like in a few weeks time. I was like, I get back from the States that morning. I'm landing, like I can't play. And he just replied with, I said, potentially, we'll see how I feel. He goes, potentially is not good enough. If you want to play, it would mean getting into a strict training schedule. I'm not just playing to make up the numbers. You compete to win. Have I not taught you anything? So that's where it comes from. It's not my fault. Let's talk about Apex, Dan. Let's talk about POI drafts.
It's funny, I think Zero said something similar to Sykes on stream, but yeah, this is what we're going to have for POI drafts. And as usual, when we see E-District partnered up with World's Edge, most people are going to be picking World's Edge in the early stages. In fact, we didn't see E-District picked until 12th position, and that was Team Falcons taking Heights. We have seen Falcons take Heights before. When that POI is pulled towards with a zone, and we see it as an Eastern zone, Heights is one of the most dominant positions you can find yourselves in. But that's all relying on the zone actually going that way, and we'll see how match one plays out.
Well, here we are then, everyone. The ALGS Pro League Americas begins, and it is a new chapter in ALGS history. Two of the biggest names in the history of the esports become fierce rivals once again, and there's 18 other teams in the lobby. Imperial How is going to be on our POV to start with. Let's enjoy the ride.
And whilst we joke, I think it was an important point that Rain Day picked up, is that if you're another team and you're like, well, why are they only talking about How? Why are they only talking about Zero? This is where you get a chance to make people talk about you. If you suddenly win this series and you say, who gives a crap about Falcons and ZZ, suddenly you become the team to be talking about for the rest of the remainder of this series. So it's a real opportunity here to make a name for yourself whilst attention is temporarily elsewhere.
Well, one thing to highlight here is that if anyone wanted an early interaction between ZZ and Team Falcons, you're not going to get it here on E-District because they are landing polar opposite sides of the map. You have Heights for Team Falcons, and then Boardwalk is where ZZ are going to be dropping. And it's going to be a much better drop in comparison to where we're going for the zone. For ZZ, we are going towards City Hall. And let me tell you, watching some of the games yesterday, we saw a couple of City Hall endings on E-District. Zone 2, readable. From there on, it was ping-ponging all over the place. It is so difficult to read where these City Hall zones are going to pull.
Speaking of being readable, being predictable, as always, America's sticking to their guns and sticking to similar comps. Ooh. As we'll just check in with this fight, as TSM and Team Liquid Alienware are taking a very close residence early on in this game.
I mean, they believe this is the building to play to win the game. The problem is, this is the one building where Team Liquid Alienware already were. So what did Liquid do? They've given up the height. Do they fight this? Do they just try and survive? They do have the caustic, of course, in the composition, which is going to allow them to hold. Maybe they're trying to duck someone. Using the ulti Q here. Not going to find someone this time around. Castle will go down. Liquid Alienware have made it clear what their plan is. They are not moving.
Yeah, they are happy to bunker down, and they say, look, maybe we can be friends, maybe we can be neighbors. You don't have to attack us here, but you're going to have to constantly be on your toes here. Oh, as I say that, Neasel's gone down. Maybe this could be a chance for TSM.
I mean, Panic gets the pick. And Panic now going to try and swing through, but you're seeing the caustic gas being such a problem to capitalize on that knock. Newcastle all causing the composition as well. Duke's going to have a peek. Evo advantage now is heavily in TSM's favor, but they can't capitalize. It's the caustic gas that's causing so many problems. Just bleeding through that health.
This takes me back to the point I was making. 17 teams have the same composition. We've got Caustic, Newcastle, and Alter. all of them going for the same thing. We do have 19 caustics in the lobby, though. Only a few teams differing from what is the standard set here by the region and what they are playing. We've got 3 Cryptos, 3 Wraiths, and a Watson. Now, we will keep an eye on those Crypto and Wraith teams because this is something we were highlighting at the start. Having that Wraith, having that Crypto can just give you that possibility of maybe countering some of the norm that's happening here in these games.
Well, DMG are chasing down KCP. They already managed to knock one, and DJ Killer's going to find another one here on Mav. Now, DMG have been, shall we say guilty? Yes, we shall. Of playing a little bit of a frustrating playstyle for many. Just ratting on a rotate, trying to find those KP in scrims, and they might have just done something similar there. We didn't catch the start of the action, but the fact that they picked someone off for free is an indication they might have been being sneaky little beavers once again. Grow Gaming trying to abduct one of TSM or Team Liquid. They're not going to be too fussed about who it is, as Neazor will respond inside of that building, getting the knock onto Jen.
Well, Duplex and Panic now are going to have to hold hands and try and stay alive. Is this just going to be a never-ending poke battle? No, Team Liquid say we are getting aggressive, and TSM eliminated. But now is there a chance for a third party here? Looks like Senna definitely having a look at it, but I think Liquid will stabilize and we lose our first team.
Oh, what a start to this game. I mean, I think Team Liquid were a little bit miffed, to use broadcast-friendly language, that TSM even dared to enter the building that they found themselves in at the start of the game, and it's ended up, even though TSM initially got a knock, with Team Liquid Alienware vanquishing TSM and calling the building their own once more. DMG having a little look at height, seeing what's about at the moment. 14k have just managed to get a res themselves. Nano's back in the game. We saw Grow Gaming picking up that kill a little bit earlier on. But they're just trying to see if anyone's going to be rotating here, seeing if anyone's going to be going towards that ring console.
Look at that comp as well for DMG. Not a single legend in those most commonly used legends. They've gone for the complete opposite with the Crypto, Wraith, and Watson. The only team, I believe, who is not running either Alter Newcastle or Caustic in their comp. So we'll have to see whether that can benefit them going into this first game. But yeah, a lot of early action and also a lot of early movers. There are only 4 teams outside of not just Zone 1, but Zone 2. DMG, Pioneers, Ninjas in Pyjamas, and LeaveNoWitness. Everyone else has moved quickly.
Pioneer's still alive, by the way, and I think the DMG, one player has been tasked with trying to find where they are. Hot Dog Mafia, though, they might be next. Skill Cakes is forced to jump into the Altar Portal to get away here. The Void Nexus is going to be good enough to get him and his teammates out by the looks of things before they get eliminated and finished off as well. 14k, of course, who just came off the respawn to get back into this game are going to be able to do so. Nano was that player to go down, but he's on your screen right now. But I've got to say, this has been somewhat of an electric start here to this match day, especially just in match number 1.
I always like a little bit of early fights, especially when they're not pointless fights as well. It was a very important one. Both teams wanting to try and capitalize on a building that is going to be what they think in the late game. So it was a fight worth having. Sadly, maybe it just took a little bit too long and it allowed another team to get involved as we check back in with DMG. Again, one of the few teams
has just flown onto Pioneers. He's flown onto the remaining player of Pioneers, but I think Pioneers have got the res off.
They have.
So now, Jay has done everything he could. DMG, if they lose this fight here, will be furious.
And one member of KCP is going to be above them. Again, they do have the composition which can just give them that extra little bit of info. That EMP could help them out as well, but Chaos was a little bit separate. That's why we saw him just drop those Watson fences, play a little bit more passive. But now both teams do reset, and maybe we'll get a more traditional 3v3 between Pioneers and DMG there. But here's the overlay of what's happening. Only 4 teams outside of the zone. You can see there's action happening on the southwest as well, down towards Neon Square.
Isn't it fascinating, though? I mean, if you look at the map overlay just off of that zone before we got the info of where next zone is going to be going, it kind of explains what I was trying to say about these city hall zones. Nobody knows where it's going. Nobody is committing to one side or the other. Everyone is just kind of playing a building somewhere in the vicinity and having to wait for zone 3, zone 4 information before they plan those rotates. It's a very, very tough zone to read. And even though it's looking like it's going north at the moment, it wouldn't surprise me to see it pull back on that next zone.
It's going to be a very interesting Zone 4 pool, that's for sure. As you can see, Keon's just gone down to a charged rifle. ZZ setting up in a pretty good position, actually. If you look at where this zone's going at the moment, ZZ are somewhat central. So regardless of where it shifts, they should be okay for the next one. As LeaveNoWitness still taking this fight. It is going to be 14k going up against them, and they've lost another.
And that was a re-knock actually onto Blaze. He just got back to his feet. Tricky's going to try and stick this res again, but the caustic gas is going to be ticking away. Now Zilach is left on his own. He might be able to find one, but there's the Newcastle Q. LeaveNoWitness eliminated. Second team out of the lobby. And 14K will claim those 3 KP.
14K doing really well. Dropping a portal there just to make sure that they had the fallback plan, but then being aggressive in the right areas. Recognizing that LeaveNoWitness were a threat in that spot to what 14K want to do in this game. They want to control that southwest side and hope that the zone shifts their way. Keon's gone down again, by the way. Just can't help himself. Sentinels in a similar spot to ZZ, just a little bit further north. And again, they can kind of sit here for quite some time until we do get eventually that zone 4 shift. Keon's gone down again, by the way, just for good measure.
I think he's farming reses at this point. I've got to say, he's probably just trying to level up the Evo. Did see Grow Gaming move very early to this zone, so it might just be a case of trying to get the Evo up. Keon being the sacrificial lamb to that. The Sentinels on your screen right now. It's been a little bit
still funny.
Yeah, still funny. Kazumi's like, I've got him again. Guys, I'm frying. Can we finish this? Lectrum's like, I've got him. Keon's like, cool.
I can imagine Keon just giggling as well. Yeah. But yes, I think that is very evident now after it's happened 18 times. And elsewhere, Hal has just got a knock onto Mav. KCP, remember, one of the teams that are trying to approach from the northeast. So they're one of the threats to Falcons in their position. So notice how all the teams that are on the edge are just ensuring that no teams can come behind them.
ZZ, though, have lost 2. Zero went down. Sykes went down as well. As DMG now trying to wrap towards the zone. Neither of those players, like you said, have been finished right now, so they might have hit the port.
One thing that is interesting, by the way, is that we have 17 Alters, 17 Newcastles. Now, typically in these scrims, we are seeing Alter banned, but there is a chance that Newcastle could go in Game 2, which would change everything here.
By the way, this is something that DMG tried to do yesterday, and it didn't go well. Oh, Chaos Feelings, look at your monitor. They tried to send their crypto into zone and essentially be invisible, knowing there's a team behind them, wrap them as they walk past and just get the easy pinch. And this time, haven't quite been able to do that. Hot Dog Mafia were the team who almost became the victims of the DMG trap. They play this game their own way. I kind of respect it. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this our way.
Just trying to do something a little bit different. And also when you're going into the last few match days and maybe you need something a little bit different to try and get you into the position for regional finals, for example, I don't hate being a little bit more experimental. This Hot Dog Mafia do get the beacon scan. And is that going to give them the info that they want? Where do they actually try and play here? Because they'll notice DMG and Pioneers are going to be instantly to their west. So perhaps they try and go a little bit further north and maybe hope to try and squeeze between those 2 squads and Team Falcons.
Well, interestingly, we were talking about how the zone's been ping-ponging about in scrims. It's basically just pulled dead center this time around, which is probably as confusing to the players in the lobby right now as anything. Team Falcons are going to be slightly outside of the zone. ZZ with the portal in on the bridge are going to be safe, and we might actually see ZZ and Falcons interact pretty soon. DMG still trying to be those sneaky little players on edge. The organized crime hot dog based team are in front of us right now.
Do they take payment in hot dogs or do they dish out the hot dog?
Crypto these days. Dog coin.
No, makes sense, yeah.
No, hot dog coin.
Yeah. Dog coin's a little bit close.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Pioneers take a little bit of damage, taking an EMP as well. Have to be forced to expend the Q. Gets nuked. It's the DMG show. And once again, they find a way towards KP, but now Falcons, they're getting pushed. They take down Hot Dog Mafia. First clean fight for them.
Do they manage to reset before NIP arrive? They have somewhat reset. Bolty still needs to hit a bat, but it looks like NIP are backing off from it. Even with that nade, NIP are not pushing too aggressively, but it does now mean that Falcons have slightly given up a position and they're going to have to try and worm their way through past NIP. Well, Team Falcons are back on our screens. Imperial Hal is back as an IGL. Let's jump into a listening and see what Hal has to think about this zone.
Playing out spot, playing out spot.
Yeah, I'm looting real quick.
I'm gonna look in.
There's optics on this guy, optics on this guy.
Nice. You have EMP, Walty, or no? I'm gonna get back, yeah. But once I get this ulti out, where is it? Oh, yeah. I'm dropping it for you. I was gonna use it if you already had EMP.
These guys are gonna be a fucking problem, bro. We need to fight to kill them. I think we need to kill them.
I'm down.
You have other spells and shit, right?
I'm gonna have P. Yeah, I have Purple Armor now too.
Alright, I'm looking.
Trying to look, you can't. One's in the shop, like on the left. Like,
you guys,
One's in the shop.
if we're gonna
Can we
fight
walk up on the right?
Yeah, we need to do it soon.
We're gonna get shot at back. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. One's playing close.
Cost 600 in the
Okay,
shop.
I'm gonna put here, okay? You ready?
Alright, yeah. Tell me if I can
Are we
take.
fighting?
Yeah, we're fighting. We have to fight them.
Okay. If I can take.
There's an ulti Q here.
You can take it.
Taking.
Alright. They're back here. I'm gonna EMP soon.
I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Up. Yeah. I'm EMPing.
Walking up.
I'm
EMP them.
What is this? This guy's like in here by himself. You think he's leading? They're leading. It's fine. I think he might be right in front of us though. We have to play the shop.
Okay. I have ult 20%.
Wait, can you ult excel?
I don't
No, I
have ult
don't have.
We have to start to kill. We have to start to kill bridge, I think. We have to look to kill the bridge.
I'm taking it
Look to
back.
kill the bridge.
Okay.
One shot. We have to kill the bridge.
He has Kraber.
Yep, I'm looking
I
back.
think he might have died. Nade him out.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm batting.
So as we jump out of the comms from Falcons, they make their move towards zone. Liquid Alienware just been eliminated, and hey, surprise, you knew it was going to happen as Sentinels fall. Zero lines up the shots onto Falcons, but can't connect this time around.
ZZ versus Falcons. ZZ have the high ground, they have the bridge, they have the Kraber, they have all the pieces to the puzzle. Guild has gone down. You could hear from Falcons as well that it was going to be a struggle. But ZZ maybe just need to leave that one and focus on keeping this bridge. They don't need to worry about Falcons just yet because other teams should sort them out, which they do. Falcons fall in 13th.
The first blow landed by ZZ onto Team Falcons. 12 squads now remain, and ZZ still control this bridge, but they're going to have to either move up on the bridge or force their way in towards zone another way. Zero is going to have some responsibility to do that, to search forward, to find an angle, or to find a hole to get that Void Nexus down for the rest of his teammates to move up to, or do they just brute force it here? With the Kraber, you would imagine it's a real option for them.
Yeah, some important shots were definitely hit there by Zero on that Kraber. When we were in that listening as well, you could hear the quick decisions that have to be made by an IGL of all the different considerations of which way you want to go, and then have to roll with the punches when things change. A team porting away, a team not taking a fight, a team you expected to fight suddenly not being there, and then having to try and force your way in an uncomfortable position. Now, NIP, speaking of uncomfortable positions, they're certainly trying to make the best of a bad one, just creating a base down below. ZZ trying to be patient here, knowing that they are in a pretty good spot, but they're also concerned about what could be ahead of them on this bridge.
Good shots there by Funk. You just got to be careful not to get greedy in this position. DMG will be eliminated next. If you overpeak with 3 players behind that wall, then you can find yourself a victim very, very quickly. Zero, not quite warmed up as yet though. Not quite connected in the way that we're used to seeing him.
Yeah, connected a little bit earlier, but not connecting with some of the easier shots that I've definitely seen him hit previously. That's more like it. Now he's starting to connect with them, and even though these shots aren't going to get ZZ any kills right now, it is going to allow other teams to potentially get those knocks and just provide a little bit of extra space for ZZ to push up.
Yeah, now they can just walk up on the bridge here. You can see that everyone else has been forced into this staircase. You have about 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams just all stood on top of each other. As the Durags will be out next. Castle Wall goes down here from ZZ. They've decided the bridge is their spot to play as Funk rains in shots from height. ROC eliminated next.
Notice how they're not overcommitting, though. They are not desperate for those kills. Instead, there are bigger tasks at hand, and that is holding the bridge right now. Funk's taking a lot of damage from Kurev, and NIP are doing well to hold this staircase. Again, this is what happens in Game 1 with the amount of caustics, the amount of Newcastles. Kills are not easy to come by.
Zone spam has gone as well. 8 squads now remain in this lobby. Great job, by the way, from NIP to rotate to the position they find themselves in. They were on the almost polar opposite side of this zone a few moments ago, where you can see Danmatic down on the low ground. Grow Gaming have been hit early. As Caustic, Gas is going to claim a kill here for Keon and the rest of Grow Gaming.
That's 2.
4 kills here for Dropped, by the way. As ZZ decide with this fight happening on the bottom of this staircase, it's time for us to try and wipe this. Ninjas in Pyjamas have been eliminated.
They tried, but again, it's very difficult to do so to get down that staircase. Now, I will say, ZZ in a good spot, Grow Gaming also in a good spot as well. They might end up clashing on this bridge when the zone eventually forces them together, but they're all just trying to ensure they stop anyone else joining them on the bridge by just applying a little bit of pressure here on there, seeing if they can pick up extra kills, but just laying down damage to keep their dominance of this bridge.
CIMJ gone as well. ZZ still in control of the high ground here. Grow Gaming have more space though, and Zero has no Kraber left, so a difference maker. A condition that was heavily in their favor to be able to take the space has now been removed. Grow Gaming trying to take the space here with the caustic barrels, getting them dished out as far as they can. The same can be said here for Unreal Nightmare, who are about to hit the junction. You can see all three teams are about to interact with each other.
Unreal Nightmare have done very well to walk up on this bridge kind of unscathed. They are going to have the most difficult time, though, because they have to go arguably the furthest. Grow Gaming, I would say, are in the best spot. And you can see if they can wipe out ZZ, then maybe this game will be in their hands, but it is not an easy thing to do.
Unreal Nightmare get the knockdown onto Sykes. That's going to be him down, and that's the Newcastle. Remember, he did at least get the castle wall down before he fell, so he's going to give his teammates some cover to play, and they're going to have the opportunity to stick the res. Caustic barrels are going to go in, though. They're going to be popped, and you wonder if that's going to burn away the health meds or give the opportunity here for Grow Gaming. They will find two. Sykes and Funk are gone.
Yeah, Grow Gaming now can step up. Oh, one knock, though, onto Drop does change things potentially, because it opens up now. Unreal Nightmare can get involved in this, and Grow will be eliminated.
ZZ gone. Grow Gaming eliminated. Top three now. Unreal Nightmare, one of those teams. Castle Wall goes down. On the low ground, though, it's THUGGETS, and they have an evac tower to jump up and potentially third party this. THUGGETS should get the win in this position. The damage is done. Masters of Evil eliminated. One player to deal with, and THUGGETS should claim game number one. Davis Wave, goodbye. THUGGETS are your champions.
They bide their time. They were very patient, and they are rewarded for said positioning. Very early on, the THUGGETS found themselves down in that water canal, and it was really the battle of the bridge, and it was that one chunking PK shot. I think it was a PK shot, could have been a Kraber, I don't know, but something taking down that one member of Grow really ruined their chances of being able to stabilize there.
Yeah, fantastic game number one, and I think it was very interesting to see, again, how if you've watched scrims throughout the week, you'll understand probably why that zone and the dispersal of the teams looked like it did around zone 2, zone 3, because everyone is not sure where that one was going, but it was probably the most predictable zone that we have seen at City Hall in quite some time. We'll take a look at the results and see how the points stack up at the end of that game number one. On top, THUGGETS, only the 4 KP, Dan, but 12 placement points means 16 points overall for them, but it's Masters of Evil and Grow Gaming who equal each other with 17 points and will actually be the biggest point grabbers of the lobby.
And it's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know we joked about ZZ getting the 1-up over Falcons, but there's only a 3-point difference between the two after Falcons were eliminated that early on. And it just shows how heavily twisted it can be in favor of placement points when you do get to that latter stage of the game. Grow Gaming 17, Masters 17, like huge kill games for those guys to even be able to put themselves up there, even though they didn't win.
Interesting decisions from TSM right at the start of that game as we look at our top performers from that game. Keon, the Apex Predator, 6 kills for him, and the Guardian Angel picking Keon up after he was res farming for most of that game is going to be dropped as well. Good that I remembered that, to be honest with you. Otherwise, I would have been like, good job, dropped. Really, really
wow, 8 revives.
Fantastic work. Wow.
Yeah, sadly, is not as good a statistic as it may look at face value, but something that does look good at face value is THUGGETS, and also notice the similar compositions across the board. As I mentioned, 17 teams all running this exact comp, but now we lose Caustic, and this is where we start to see a few more changes come through. America's is a little bit more in tune rather than EMEA. We don't see as much people kind of swaying away from the meta, but expect to see plenty of Alter, and Alter probably getting banned. Maybe Newcastle pips it. I hope that Newcastle does get banned, because it will just make that match 3 a little bit different.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, and we'll find out what is going to be banned in match number 3 after we get done with match number 2, and that's coming up right after this break. Don't go anywhere. ALGS Pro League continues.
いやアンリミットこれキル伸びるぞ。
いや黒すぎる。なんだこれは。
いやポテタンも倒しきってアンリミット全てを破壊した。完璧なタイミング。ただアルネブが後ろにいました。
いやでも起こせる。しかもやってる状況。
さあこれノーアバウト B が倒れて TIE 圧倒的有利な状況。
ウィーク2でもウィーク3でも
チャンピオン獲得していきましたが3度目のチャンピオン TIE。さあ上を取りに行きました。アクシスの位置をどうするか。先に落とされたら2度のだ。残りは1枚モーモン。倒しきるかワブは。いやー最後はブラックシープス。9ラウンドの収縮が始まっていますがニュービー蘇生している。
このどさくさで
大胆すぎる蘇生だ。残りは5部隊のやつ。リジェクトに今落ちている。 TI も落ちている中でアンリミットが唯一落ちていません。
ドフリー
TI リアルズマが落ちて残り3部隊。取り切ったのはアンリミット。本日2回目のチャンピオン。有利ポジション見事に。ニュービー TIE 上位チームが残っている。一気に逆転でのチャンピオンになるが TI 取った。ニュービーを取って最後は蒼天の TIE。 モブは海ちゃんかガモブか。ガモブ取り切ったのは TIE。 最終戦のチャンピオン。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with Onset taking a break. It's Gaskin and Rain Day here on the cast, and I'm super excited to talk a little bit about what we saw yesterday. I can't believe they played the replay, Dan. That was so unprofessional from our production team. Wait, I'm hearing that THUGGETS just actually won 2 game ones in a row. I don't know how this occurs. We set it up, but THUGGETS seem to be the ones kind of making their own story felt, and I love it, Dan.
Like you said, like you have a chance now to make a name for yourself here and take the attention away from the obvious when it comes to this match day. And THUGGETS were able to get themselves in a nice position down in the canals, but also it's a very difficult one to hold. But they did very well to avoid some gunfire, also play it safe, use those tunnels to their advantage, but also pressuring teams at the right time to ensure that they weren't an easy target. All the meanwhile, that shot onto dropped, I think changed everything here because it meant Grow were in a 2 versus X situation where they weren't really able to stabilize. They got collapsed on by the other teams and it ruined Grow's chances of winning that game. I think it would have been difficult anyway, but look at THUGGETS down below sitting pretty, and then what changed things was the fact that they had the evac tower to be able to get up onto height here, so they had saved it perfectly, bided their time, they waited for their moment, and they took full advantage of it.
Man, I like the composition that they've been running with as well. I mean, yesterday, Grow Gaming and Keon, we interviewed him and he said, you know, we didn't have the Gibraltar there and we were caught in the open space for a zone pull. In this situation, everyone's still going pretty heavy with the Newcastle and the Caustic, but using the altar to navigate some of these moments. You're right, they had the evac, but maybe there would have been a tricky altar portal as well if they didn't. I think they took the best choice there, though, to be efficient, and they also stayed out of line of sight of that fight. So great stuff from THUGGETS. The question now is going to be, can they put it together again and again? This is a team that obviously needs results today, but a big win on E-District, Caustic banned now. Excited to see what they pull for match 2.
Yeah, and whilst they did win the game, there were teams that got more points than them because of the kills that were found by other rosters as well. So it's great from THUGGETS, but also it's not mind-blowing. It's not like they blew all the other teams out of the water. Instead, there are other teams that are still ahead of them at the moment. But it is only match 1 that's done as we do lead into match 2. Now, remember, Caustic is going to be banned. Expect to see a ton of Alter in Newcastle still. Usually, Alter is banned in scrims, but there is potential that we could have a tie, and maybe that tiebreaker could end up seeing Newcastle disappear as well, which would certainly shake things up going into match 3. And looks like I was correct. We've got 17 Newcastles and 17 Alters. But sadly, I think that still does mean Alter gets banned because there was no, it's a straight 50-50, excuse me. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see who wins this game and whether we see Alters and Newcastles, etc., etc.
Well, either way, it's really going to shift the way that you play this map because the Newcastle gives you the safety in the open and the Altar gives you the traversal when it's not safe. So one of these two things going to collide with each other as the northwest side of the zone will have its day in the sun. City Hall kind of going to be the center point. Boardwalk, Resort, Blossom Drive, Neon Square, all around this area. Liquid Alienware starting up on top in Resort. TSM already in their move. ZZ, a team that had been hot off the presses in terms of the news this week, starting in Boardwalk with obviously that recon beacon. So they'll be able to see that this zone is pretty much right where they are. It's going to be a pretty slow game for Zero and Squad. And the other side of things, Hal and Falcons, they're going to have to make a long, well, I guess westward journey out west. Try to find that Hollywood life, or maybe just figure out a way to survive.
Well, TSM and Team Liquid Alienware fighting early again, and this time TSM looked like they were getting the better of Team Liquid, and Team Liquid are having to retreat. So this time, TSM can claim this building and can hold it as their own. One thing I'm noticing as well, and you might be noticing at home, is the amount of ramparts. 16 ramparts. So that means 16 of our teams are running Newcastle Alta Rampart, which is pretty crazy. We're seeing a lot of 14 teams, excuse me, a 70% pick rate on that composition. Then we're seeing 4 Watsons, 3 Cryptos, and 3 Wraiths. So a few teams running somewhat of a countercop, running the Wraith, running the Crypto to try and maybe disrupt these teams who are looking to hunker down a little bit with the amped cover and, of course, with the Castle Wall.
I like the Crypto. I think Wraith is really turning into a comfort pick. I think taking away what Ashe was so good at, which is just her mobility with the phase breach, but again, the second mobility, and then the individual mobility, and then the disruption of enemy players' mobility, just kind of dialing that down a little has been enough to look at Wraith again, and she's been in a good spot. She's just been, you know, outperformed by a character who in pretty much every Apex Legends game is picked 1 out of every 3 times, which is unheard of pretty much for any character in the history of Apex to have that high a pick rate for that long. So it's certainly a counter, and in some ways, Dan, I think it's just good that Wraith gets a chance to be experimented with again. She had some recent buffs. They've changed some of her perks several times, and I think she's in a really good spot.
I mean, as soon as Alta goes, expect to see the majority of the lobby on Wraith as well, because that is the natural fallback, as you can also see why Rampart can shine. It's not just the amped cover, but also Sheila provides so much extra damage against the castle wall, against the shield, and Team Liquid Alienware will be eliminated. So they were the first team to get an elimination in match 1, taking down TSM, but this time they were forced out into no man's land, and Sentinels will now wipe them from the face of E-District.
The former Empire Gaming roster now with Sentinels. Wouldn't that be fun? If 2 versions of rosters Empire Gaming have had represent them win both match days. So far, so good for Sentinels in that journey. Here's the man of the hour, Imperial Hal, on that classic Wraith. Many of the people who grew up watching Apex put this guy on the Mount Rushmore of the game. You'd be remiss not to at least consider him. But he's got a new crew now, and the new crew is quite new for me. And even looking at it, Dan, I'm curious how this is going to work out. He's played with Waltzy before. That's been the Zero experiment, but Gildersons has been a great fragger. He's just kind of stayed adjacent to Hal. He's been on some top teams, NRG most notably, most recently. But I think that when you consider Gildersons, and obviously ZZ, but when you look at Gildersons, I'm not sure how that's going to mesh with Hal. And I'm not saying I doubt them. I'm just really curious as to how obviously a very, very good fragger is going to mesh, and how Hal's going to mesh with him.
So we're on board with Unreal Nightmare as well, who have to do quite a lot today in the terms of the grand scheme of things, the overalls. They really have been a team that, you know, we've seen succeed in game 1, but if they struggle today, they might not even get to regional finals. They don't have champs points. They need to be getting to regional finals if they want any chance of getting to champs. They're not going to be winning Pro League. So it's suddenly focusing on those top positions and giving yourself that Hail Mary shot. And they've started the day off pretty well. We saw them in that final circle giving themselves a chance. But yeah, I mean, you speak about Guild as well. I mean, he's an incredible player, one of the best anchors around as well. Just such incredible gun skill and positioning. So I think he's an excellent addition to Team Falcons. We'll have to see how it pans out for the overalls. Now, DMG, who did create a little bit of a ruckus in game 1, first team to dive away from that natural composition, and it looks like they are looking to make it a bad day for KCP yet again here.
That Wraith and that R99 skin, man, that's nightmare fuel for a lot of people. Man, oh man. Back to the good old days. Cruel Buckle is cruel. He's trying to run away. There's nowhere to run. He's here. And he's not letting you go. What? Cruel Buckle turns it around. You know DJ Killer does not like that. His teammate's going to have to pick him up. Cruel Buckle lives to fight another day. One syringe. Will it be the difference? Chaos Feelings cannot let him go. And boy, oh boy, somehow Void Nexus away. No way. Cruel Buckle.
Oh, they follow it.
Oh, you got to follow now, Dan. You can't let him go after that.
So this is the second time, by the way, DMG have done this to Pioneers. We saw it in game 1 as well, if you remember. They are the Rat Kings so far in this lobby. Also, I just want to correct myself on something I said earlier about Unreal Nightmare. They would have to either win Pro League or win Regional Finals, and they are in contention for potentially getting a little bit further into Pro League. They're in 4th position at the moment, so excuse me, I misread it as 14th. But either way, they have to do well.
Yeah, and, you know, I love that recap, Dan, but, you know, we're in the middle of one battle after another here. I mean, these guys are not letting him go. It's like the pavement up and down, trying to chase to the end result. Cruel Buckle is still on the run. DMG do not want to let him flee. Well, I just don't know how long they can keep this up. I think they know he's in the general vicinity. But my God. Yeah, this is, to me, it would be personal at that point. I mean, you see the rest of the game happening over on the left-hand side. And then DMG, like sharks with like chum in the water, are just zeroing in on where they know, they sniff out, they smell Cruel Buckle down there, and he's still running away. Oh my God. And finally, KCP will fall. DMG will get their revenge. That didn't feel personal. That was personal.
It was just a bit mean, really, wasn't it? Just let them live. Start to think about actually how you're going to get into zone. Because where on earth did DMG go from here? Like, they're so late now to zone that it looks like it's going to be a real struggle. Thankfully, they do have Crypto. They can give them the information, and they do have Wraith. So maybe they can just worm their way into zone, but it's not going to be pretty wherever they try. And they might even get held out by 14K now. Maybe 14K could give DMG a taste of their own medicine here.
Well, I'd say, Dan, all jokes aside, it's usually not a good plan to chase somebody for that long. I mean, there's just so many things you're not doing. You're not, you know, looting. You're not improving your Evo shields by, you know, farming and being in a good spot. You're not positioning. And you're really on the back foot when it comes to everything. It's kind of like you take 2 minutes off and then you go, okay, now we killed him. Now what do we do? And I think that's potentially dangerous. You're right. Keep an eye on maybe something going wrong for DMG, but keep your eye on the right-hand side as well. Zero falling to gentrifying TSM in a good spot. Also, don't forget Grow Gaming. Top 3 last game going down, losing Keon here. A lot of action. Kuzme finishing off Keon. Things are getting cheeky as we get closer and closer to that northern side. The zone has pulled a little bit to the left towards Boardwalk. And Unreal Nightmare yet again, who we've talked about, just content to sit right here.
Kind of mad that they have 0 champs points. You know, if they were able to pull off the unthinkable and win this Pro League or win regional finals, it really would be one of those stories that is just, you think it's impossible, but then someone's able to pluck it out of nowhere. By the way, just to go back to your point about Hal on Wraith as well, I do think it's fantastic to see him on Wraith, because when you're an IGL of Hal's standard, you want to be able to command the team and be able to take them places. And even though Alter can kind of do that with the portal, Wraith does it in a very different way. And it's also going to be something that's deeply ingrained in Hal's brain as well, of how he's played throughout the years when Wraith was so prominent in the meta. But now we get to see the zone shift, and he's going to continue to head further west. So good news for the likes of Nice Guys, who are not only going to get a zone pool, but also have a mythic pin there as well.
I mean, this is a great setup, Dan. Look at Sentinels. Already got a couple of kills. We saw Loader get into the action, and Falcons. And I tell you what, Spidey senses are tingling for ZZ. Right on the top. They know there's 2 teams above them, but do they know it's Falcons? This could be the first full-on clash we see these 2 teams have in this match day. TSM nearby as well. I tell you, I wouldn't want to be Sentinels or Falcons here. Seems like a very difficult position to try to get into zone. And THUGGETS finding a little bit of counter pressure. 16 points with their win in the last game. So not fully at the top of the leaderboard, but the only team with a win so far, climbing up to the high ground and just, again, trying to navigate the zone, which is already plentiful.
I believe Nice Guys got a Kraber out of that Mythic bin as well. So not only have they got a zone, they've also got a weapon to do some damage with. Speaking of doing damage, that evac tower ripped away from THUGGETS. They're going to have to reconsider this one. 14K and DMG both looking towards THUGGETS, and now are going to be holding them out. And that rotation is very much ruined. And with only 12 seconds before that zone begins to close, they're going to have to think about taking the fight. Azizi have lost Funk, but Funk will be picked right back up. As I say that, he goes down yet again here. And ZZ are being pressured from multiple angles, it seems.
I mean, they're holding a choke to where people want to go, but this is not the safest choke. I mean, this ramp leaves you completely exposed when you try to get off this Newcastle wall. So he's basically just waiting for some type of transportation or that wall to fall before they are exposed. Falcons on the other side of that wall. It felt like they were going to run into them. They chose to go on the outskirts. THUGGETS here going down early. DJ kill on DMG finds Vlorzy. And Nano picking up Din, but 14K Resonance trying to pick up a little poke as they peek through the zone, moving yet again and again. A lot of teams, Dan, fighting on this outside, trying to just find a place in zone.
I think DMG maybe have lucked out with THUGGETS being the distraction there, because now DMG have been able to worm their way onto the southwest side as TSM down to just 2, but they will recover Dupe. Get him back on his feet, and TSM can continue to hold this building. But Sentinels now beginning to push in, trying to take advantage of that player going down, and it looks like it's going pretty well for them.
This is going to be where you see not only Sentinels getting into the mix, but ZZ as well. Funk is back up, and here's Sykes. Zero a little bit behind. ZZ have a chance to do something very difficult, which is push past Sentinels and find a place in the zone. Let's listen in on how Zero commands the squad forward.
Fucking go somewhere. This is fucked, by the way. There, equal.
Yeah,
It's on recall, Reese. That's Sykes.
Yeah, I'm on.
I'm gonna peek top bridge.
I put it down.
We take.
Oh, not really. Recall
On
me?
the recall.
Oh, fuck. Recall? I'm blind. We can probably
They keep to the wall. They keep to the wall. I think I'm ping. Yeah, look at the A-bus. Look at the A-bus. Verdi, maybe?
batting. Okay, nades.
I'm walking up right, walking up
Somebody
right.
nades on
We
me.
could take the fight, I guess.
They went back there. They went back there. They went back there. Well, I'm pretty sure. I think they're gonna go that way now.
They're
They wasted all their nades. Yeah, they're crossing the open.
We can queue through the spot and just fucking play there.
Yeah.
Alright. You want to key through where?
The Walmart.
Alright.
I'm fully in. I'm
Let's go play the little staircase, I think. Oh, we can queue in bottom floor as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take this.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Run forwards. Set up, set up.
I mean, that's just like. Bulwark pull back. Holy fuck.
I just died literally instantly.
Man, it looks like ZZ goes down. It was a tough spot. I was looking at it, Dan, saying, I don't know where they go from here. It delayed the inevitable, but they're the ones who go down in about 15th position this time around. So heavy size from Zero, Funk, and Sykes. 14K Resonance, part of the problem, 100%. And a lot of these other teams who are in zone or nearby. Injuries in Pyjamas, Nice Guys, DMG, zone spammers, right where it's going to be. But on the outskirts of it, it's just pure chaos. And Unreal Nightmare go down as well.
Yeah, we just lost 3 teams as THUGGETS again will take down Unreal Nightmare. This time it's a lot earlier in the match. And it looks like 14K maybe looking to try and pick up the pieces here. This has been a battle that's been happening on the south for quite some time, and it's transitioned a little bit further to the east. And yeah, that was a tough one, a tough watch for ZZ. Always frustrating when you don't really get to play the game and shoot your gun and you just kind of go through and you die. Because now Falcons have found themselves alongside 2 other squads. Nice Guys are going to be the ones directly next to them. But it is going to be moving over towards them, this zone. So Nice Guys, Falcons, Durags, and Zone Spammers are all going to be within this next circle.
I mean, let me say, having the privilege, if you were on Face of Watch, you might have seen it, but we have the map screen as well here. Just the privilege to see how Hal navigated into this building right here. He is in zone. This team, ZZ, Sentinels, they were all in front of him. And the way that they were able to play that, getting counter pressured by DMG when they tried to find a spot there, now sharing this building with Nice Guys. If they win, you got to go back and study how that happened, because that was phenomenal for him to be in such a position right now. As you can see, everyone's still fighting for a spot. THUGGETS, Master of Evil, LeaveNoWitness, Sentinels, 14K Residents, Hot Dog Mafia, NIP outside of zone. It is 12 teams left, and there's not enough space for everybody.
That's Hot Dog Mafia desperately trying to stay alive by going through the floors, but the THUGGETS had it covered. And now they're trying to get back up to a 3 yet again. And the THUGGETS are doing well, like, kind of pushing up, staying alive. Just when you think THUGGETS are down, they get right back up again. They still are holding first place at the moment, but will they be able to survive this zone? That's the real question, because there's too many teams in zone to hold them out. It would seem 14K are going to be in a similar position, trying to survive as a solo, but THUGGETS catch one member of Sentinels to change that fight, but now here comes the suppressive fire from other teams.
Gotta tell you, it's been pretty impressive to watch THUGGETS do this. May not turn into a win, but 30 teams have died before they died just there. Yeah, that's about two and a half, almost 2 3/4 of a full game before they took their first loss. So great stuff from THUGGETS. They will have to wait this one out and watch from the sidelines. This is the building I was talking about. The Falcons found themselves in. It was a Wraith portal to test it with DMG. Now they found a way back to play next to Nice Guys, who have not left them alone. Imperial Hal on his last med kit here. It's just going to find a place to pop it. One stray Kraber shot. One G7 burst. It could be over. You can't take that risk. And right now they see NIP trying to get into it. They're running out of some resources, but they've still got plenty here to hold.
The Falcons haven't really done much this game, apart from just playing position, playing zone, but it all could be rewarded as we get closer to this end game with some potential kills and maybe even a good placement. Still only on 8 points. They find themselves in 11th position in the overall. They have just found 1 kill, though, as we're down to now 7 squads. Now, the zone is coming closer to this building than it is the likes of LeaveNoWitness, who are a little bit further out. The third building in question is no longer occupied by anyone. But Durags, Zone Spammers, Falcons, Nice Guys are all going to have to exit their respective buildings. And you've got NIP, LeaveNoWitness, and Masters of Evil, who are outside of said buildings. And now you can see Masters of Evil are going to start to push out just to pressure anyone who tries to exit here by taking one of the chokes.
There are 2 big fights happening across this boulevard. Big intersection in this building, separating the 2 of them. One is about to occur, at least that's what Masters of Evil want. They pushed out Zone Spammers up to the high ground. So they'll be fine, content on the low. Less exposed, a little more power from a positional standpoint, but they're on the slow side of zone, which means Falcons, Nice Guys, they're just in Pyjamas, LeaveNoWitness, who are totally exposed. They actually have to move first. So Zone Spammers and Masters of Evil might be able to wait this one out for a little bit. It's going to be a battle up on top.
LeaveNoWitness are trying everything they can. Void Passage to get them a position elsewhere, but they're being shot by almost every team, it would see, as Falcons get a knock on to NIP. LeaveNoWitness have also lost 2. Masters of Evil now push inside this building, but now this is when teams have to start leaving. This is where the castle wall is going to be important.
There it is. Oh, can't get the Q off. Hal's a day late, but is he $1 short? It seems like he might just have someone to cover the bill. It's Gilderson's, but can they get Hal back up? That's the question. 3 Falcons members. Oh, that looks like a guaranteed win if they could pull it off. Masters of Evil fighting that second fight here. Gilderson's with the Sheila singing from high up above. Turns into the new kill leader. And this just could be 2 games where Hal is the IGL. And within his first chance of taking back Falcon under his wings, he wins.
An incredible victory from Falcons. As I said, they hadn't done much in terms of getting kills in the early game. In terms of the mid game, they were just playing position, they were just playing zone, but they were rewarded for their hard work. They had the ideal position, they win the first engagement that they are asked to win, and then they have the perfect high ground above everyone else. And yes, okay, you want to pick Hal up, but I think the call was probably made. You don't need me at this point. You have such an advantage over everyone else. The zone's coming in, just do the job as a 2.
And it was such a great, effective way. And I'm telling you, when you look at what, you know, it looked like the fighting wise that they hadn't done, the positioning to get to that spot, it was a masterclass, because I could see it on the map feed. There were so many tried ways to go about it. There were so many attempts that didn't work out, but still to bounce back, to refigure, and then end up in that building. That clearly was the difference in terms of winning. Yes, they had to hit their shots. Yes, Gilderson clutched up, but let's just say Hal didn't even play his best. He missed his Wraith Q. He was a little bit too late on that. If he hits that Q, he probably stays alive, and it's all three of them, and that's an easy wipe. So at the end of the day, what I'm most impressed about is how they got to that position, and that just is why I feel in the deepest part of me that Hal wanted IGL back. I feel like those are the things that when someone makes a different call you don't agree with and it doesn't work out, it just hurts you inside. Like knowing you were right, knowing you should have done that thing, and then it comes back to bite you. Well, now Hal has no one else to blame, but he also has no one else to thank for these types of decisions. Incredible start to the new Falcons here. Only 2 games and now already a win.
This example is a coincidence. I don't want to focus on Zero just because we're talking about Hal, but for example, when we were watching ZZ, Zero makes a call, they're gonna void passage through the wall, they're gonna play the stairs. They void passage through, they get absolutely obliterated, and you could hear Sykes and Funk just being a little bit frustrated that they didn't get a chance to shoot their guns. That's when you just trust your IGL to make the call, and you live or die by your IGL sometimes. And sadly, in that instance, they had to die by their IGL, but sometimes your IGL can get you into a position like Falcons just did, where suddenly you find yourself in prime real estate on top of everyone else, and you get to pull out the victory even as just a 2. But the new man that's arrived onto this Falcons roster, Guild, what an addition it does seem to be, and he partners so well at the moment from what we've seen alongside Waltzy and Hell.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I was saying, how's this going to fit? Is this the right mesh? Well, on paper, certainly. And listen, no one's doubting Gilderson's accomplishments here on paper. I think it was more just the personalities. How will they interact with each other? You know, Gilderson's bringing what he brings as a person. Will that ignite Hal? Will that settle Hal down? Will that make Hal curious about different elements of his game to allow Gilderson's and him to build off of each other? Of course, Waltzy's been there for a minute, so he has less to adjust to, but just such an interesting dynamic to pay attention to, guys. We told you this is going to be fireworks. It already is. 2 games down, a third to go on E-District before we switch up to World's Edge. What a day of the ALGS as we come around to closing out our doubleheader soon. Game 3 after this.
Bro, I got Maggie ball, man. He's not bad. He just one guy. He's one touch. He's one touch. Oh my god! Oh my god!
I called this up.
Where?
Fuck. Oh my god.
Nice. I got a team. いやーだるいな上。負けた。
これ俺ら下入り込まれてなんか話悪くされて悪くないですか。
映してる6時ナイスゆっくり左回り行くよ俺屋根上に行くよ
あれができるそれ左上
いやピックする
登るよ
30高く70やった起こすよ俺起こそういいよシング40高くやったナイスあと2枚頑張れ向かって1枚ロバットだろナイス上ゲット頑張れナイスよし起こせるすぐ起こしてナイス10秒あるわわあやば強すぎWhat?
Behind the wall pushing nice baby
Yeah.
Blue team close
Did I do it?
behind you behind the wall behind you
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Well, who would have thought it? It took 2 games for How to return to the fore and for Falcons to get a win on the board here on E-District. Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS. Welcome back to the Americas Pro League. And welcome back, Dan Gaskin. You did a great job in the last game. Falcons also did an equally good job taking the win.
Welcome back to you. Yeah, missed you, but great to have you back. Not only did they get a win, they got 11 kills, which is quite crazy, really, because when I mentioned that they hadn't done much in the game, I meant like they hadn't really got any kills yet, because they hadn't. They had got to the top 8, barely a kill, and then suddenly they walk away with the victory and 11 kills. So that really does show how playing for the late game can be advantageous. That's a tale as old as time. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that we did have a tie in Legend bans between Newcastle and Alter, and Newcastle was the one that got banned. So that means we still have Alter for match 3, but that does shake things up a little bit going into this next one as to what we see in terms of Legend selection.
Yeah, it certainly does indeed. And to be honest, Caustic and Newcastle going early, I'm here for it. I think it's going to make a very, very exciting rest of the day. And I just want to give a huge amount of credit actually to Falcons that last game. Dropping over a height, by the way, having to make their way all the way across the map to get into that zone. And by doing so, winning, it feels almost, double as sweet, knowing that that wasn't a zone that was yours and one that you managed to make your own. So no surprise here, we're going to stay with Team Falcons off the rip. But I got to say, going to keep talking about this a little bit, but ZZ had 2 very good zones for where they're dropping over at Boardwalk and haven't made the most of it yet.
And not to go back and harp on it, but this ban could be something very beneficial for Falcons, because it means that Wraith probably survives another game, which she does, because we're going to see plenty of Alter. If Alter had got banned, there was a chance Wraith could have got banned in this game. But actually, we're going to see Crypto going this game. 16 Cryptos are going to be selected here, so that means we're going to lose Crypto for the next. That means Alter survives going into World's Edge, which is a huge surprise.
Yeah, we are starting to see maybe a bit of a shift away from Alter. But you heard the, I would call it an exasperated gasp from myself, because we are going once again to almost an identical part of the map. City Hall has been busy, to say the least. And we're going to see another zone pulling over to the kind of midwest side of E-District here. And for Falcons, they're probably thinking, come on, man, we just have to win one from all the way over there. And the rest of the teams on the eastern side are probably thinking, come on, man, like, can we get a zone near us? Well, no, you're going to have to work for it.
That's all right. Most of the teams prioritize World's Edge anyway, so that's where they're going to be thinking about their focus. That's what they deserve, I guess. Although I say that, one of the only teams who did select this map as their prior was Falcons, and they're all the way on that eastern side. And you know what? They won the last game, so who's to say they can't do it again? It was a long old journey to get there previously, but maybe they'll have an opportunity. Now, TSM not in an early scrap this time with Team Liquid Alienware. Looks like these 2 teams are going to be able to spread themselves out a little bit, but again, both going to be able to find somewhat central positions in this POI because it's similar.
I don't know how we hit that. That is an insane shot. And now Panic, by name, is watching Sacred Panic. It's going to be an easy knock here for TSM, who, dropping over at City Hall, by the way, have had a shocking start to this match day. 0 points on the board, with 2 zones going directly to their POI, essentially. Not good. That's all I can say. Not good.
Not good. But yeah, that's sometimes just the most analysis you can give when you see something like that. But now Pioneers, they've not had the best of days so far.
Not good.
Sadly, have been ratted out twice by DMG, but this time looks like they were able to get past their grubby hands and can actually play the game.
I just checked the map overhead to see where DMG were, and Pioneers are ahead of them, like you say, but they are in a little bit of a pinch here, potentially with Ninjas in Pyjamas. But Sentinels, they're going to have a pretty good prio to this zone at the moment. They're just kind of weaseling their way around, going to hit ring console. And they're also going to meet Zero, who is putting a port down maybe for ZZ to do something similar and hit a console a little bit later on. Falcons on our screens once again. Plan for them, as it was in the previous game. Find a way to get up to purples and then find somehow a route towards zone. The good news for them is, of course, still having Crypto for this game. They can hit a lot of survey beacons to find out where everyone else is playing for now.
Yeah, ROC may be a concern for Falcons, because Falcons on their journey are going to try and hit this next ring console perhaps, and ROC are kind of hovering in that area. You can see them just to the right hand side on the screen there. Are Falcons aware of them? But yeah, then now they will be.
Zero just got a knock in the feed here for ZZ onto Bofa. As we jump over to his POV, they're not only getting the knock, they're getting the finish as well. And ZZ looking to pick the pace up a little bit here. No surprise to see that. A couple of EMPs are going to be exchanged between the two teams. Sykes looking to get on the board here in this game, but Funk's taking a little bit of damage, and we'll have to just slow this down for a second.
Sykes looked like he was waiting for permission to push. He was just like, can I, please, let me go. Sometimes you just have to hold them back. You have to play the patient game, as they will take the portal back. And they will continue to hold this western side now. They'll have the entirety of the northwest right now up towards Boardwalk, and maybe they can use that survey beacon to their advantage a little bit later as well.
Zone 3 info is going to be really, really vital here to some teams who are arriving late, because there's a huge dividing wall that we're looking at right now with the two chokes between where this zone is going to be pulling. So it's, do you hedge your bets on the southern side? Do you hedge your bets on the northern side? It looks like at the moment most teams are playing for that southern side. With how these E-District zones are going, at the moment it's kind of difficult to guess what's going to be the right decision. In the meantime, Sentinels do manage to get a knock and a finish, so that's going to be 1 point on the board for them.
So many teams within this zone. ROC have moved their way all the way north, by the way. It looks like they might be able to pick up the remainder of a squad that they're chasing at the moment. I don't know whether they'll overcommit, but at the same time, they probably want to move this way anyway, and they almost get it. There you go. Durags will be eliminated, and ROC got what they came looking for, and now they will have the north and can transition a little bit more comfortably down. Don't have to worry about any teams that are going to be ahead of them. So it's only ROC, DMG, and Pioneers who are not within this circle. And now we're used to DMG and Pioneers not being in the circle. That's a tale as old as time when it comes to this map, it would seem. DMG are going to go down to Draft Point. They'll be hitting the ring console there. Pioneers are going to Street Market. They'll be hitting the ring console there. Because you said it, this next zone information is going to be very important. ROC also going to hit the ring console there. So the three teams who are not in zone are going to hit ring consoles.
Let's see what information they're going to get in just a few moments' time. What side of that big dividing wall are we going? South or north? South, well, probably. Although, well, you know, probably south. I'm interested to see, by the way, if DMG and Pioneers do interact with each other, because they're both going to be on that southern side. Could happen.
I thought Pioneers might have turned around and just taken the fight to DMG after last game. They were probably a little bit peed off about it, but DMG also might just chase down Pioneers again after we saw how heavily they chased them previously, but it looks like they're going to be shadowing them through Street Market. They would have seen the balloon go up after ring console, so they will know that there was a team down there, and they probably have a good idea of who it was as well, just based off of rotations and based off the fights they've already had in this game. As for the other teams, they're going to be late rotating. Pioneers are now going to take yet another evac. Falcons are going to be moving in from the east, and then ROC are also going to be heading in from Resort down to Boardwalk.
I was going to say, it looks like a pretty safe evac from where they've positioned it, but map does take a little bit of damage. However, it is just a touch. This building is free for them to land in, so they're going to be good. LeaveNoWitness, by the way. Blaze is sliding down towards them. I think he took a little bit of damage. And indeed, it looks like he could be in some trouble if Pioneers are aware of that position. Maybe they're just thinking about the reset for now, but Renatrick and Zilach have gone down. KCP are controlling this fight. And LeaveNoWitness will be leaving the lobby.
It's always a tough situation when you are holding a position, you're holding an area. You don't really consider that another team might just suddenly be joining you out of the sky, and that's where you have to be planning for all of the potential outcomes. Zero does get a knock onto Deeds because ROC, they tried to transition to the northern side, and they've gone right in between Grow and ZZ here. You can see Grower on the other side of this. We're going to maybe see if they can get a bit of KP as well.
ZZ are going to be outside of where this next zone is going. And they're trying to take the fight here. Zero's trying to be aggressive. It does feel like ZZ have just tried to up the pace a little bit here. Trying to take a few more engagements after the disappointment of that previous game. They're going to Q through. Zero has taken damage. Sorcerer is playing down behind the knockdown, and Zero is going to make the call to leave. Funk hits the Void Nexus. And they're going to be able to reset pretty comfortably here.
Nice res through the wall as ROC will be eliminated, and maybe it was a good call to get out because Bro were certainly in the area and ready to pick apart the pieces had ZZ stayed in that one. But, you know, I like the change of pace because when you've got teammates like Funk and Sykes, let them go for it. Let them play Apex Legends. Let them shoot their guns. It's very difficult sometimes for players who are that good at shooting their guns to be restricted to rotations that are a bit frustrating for them. So, you know, let them free, let them loose. As we now check in with Team Falcons, who have been able to find themselves pretty much dead center zone now after their long old journey all the way from heights.
Yeah, again, just really good micro rotates coming in from Falcons here, and it's Portal that makes the difference once more. Having the crypto, of course, is going to allow you to relay the information of what spots are going to be free. And one thing I do like about the pickup of Guild as well, whenever we talk about communication, a lot of people will always focus on who's talking, who's relaying information. Guild is one of those players who is an exceptional listener. And he is always ready to react. He doesn't overcomplicate. He doesn't overcrowd comms. And I think the conversations now that you hear in between How and Waltzy are a lot more comfortable and clear.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there was complaints that maybe there was too many voices in the previous iteration of Falcons, and I think that was always going to be a possibility of the clash of two of the biggest egos in this industry. Well, maybe not industry, but within Apex Legends. I've seen worse. But now you just add someone who's a little bit quieter, but also someone who makes very good points as well. When we were in the listening earlier, Guild was just making very quick, precise points of maybe we could do this, or this could be a consideration, or let's be careful of that. And it just adds and allows the IGL to make those considerations whilst also getting extra tidbits that could help them make that decision.
The Guild's going to try and shoot out this evac before the team is allowed to take it. That'll do, Guild. That'll do.
The Mythic been spawned on the southern side, by the way, which actually Pioneers are the closest to, but whether they feel like it's worth going for or not, that's a different question.
Well, ironically, at the moment, the teams who are furthest away from this zone as Guild continues just to pound scout bullets into the team in the building. The teams who are furthest away, Liquid Alienware, Sentinels, and ZZ.
Over there.
So a lot of work to be done for those four teams to get in towards this end zone.
Yeah, ZZ just got held out a little bit by Hot Dog Mafia, and they might have to take the fight against Hot Dog Mafia, actually. It looks like they're having a couple of pop shots against each other at the moment, as Falcons are going to be more than happy here on the bridge. I think as this zone closes, no one's really threatening them right now, unless someone dives in from the sky, but potentially a more difficult situation for Sentinels, Liquid Alienware, Hot Dog Mafia, and ZZ, who are all fighting kind of on the northeast area at the moment, but looks like Hot Dog Mafia are going to retreat away from ZZ.
The Falcons, I'm just going to stick with this at the moment. Just do get a little look at the map overhead, where the teams are going to be.
Let's go that way.
ZZ on the north, Liquid Alienware, Hot Dog Mafia between them. Sentinels trying to get some damage into Liquid Alienware at the moment on that map overhead. As Falcons continue, just it's a really good kind of illustration actually on the map overhead of how central the position of Falcons are, and they are going to be safe inside the next zone as well. Sentinels trying to force their way in though. This is one of the teams who have got to do some work to get to this endgame.
Yeah, Liquid Alienware on the other side of this fight. Hot Dog Mafia are close, so if you're going to engage in this one, you have to be quick about trying to finish it off. And even with that knock, it's very difficult to try and press up on, and Lota's gone down. So Sentinels need to make a very quick decision here. Do you commit or do you try and back off?
I think they have to commit. They've only got 60 seconds left. Masters of Evil will be eliminated in the meantime elsewhere. And Riley's just trying to find some targets at the moment. Q's out. Mega Knight's going to be... Should I say, Riley can actually be going through the portal to get away from this situation. Lota's going to be down for quite some time. 14k Resonance eliminated while all this action is going on as well. And the Sentinels have decided to rotate away from Liquid Alienware, and that fight that broke out has actually now allowed ZZ to rotate into that northern choke. And they're right below Falcons right now.
Yeah, Falcons being pressured by the likes of Nice Guys who are trying to get up this bridge as well. Even though these bridges can be incredible to hold, it can be very difficult when you suddenly get pinched by two teams just coincidentally at the same time approaching you. You really have to have your head on a swivel and be prepared to take those fights and maybe get aggressive in certain scenarios where it's required. As Nice Guys did poke a little bit, but then will back off now.
And he's taking a huge amount of damage though. He's only got about 5 health left. Has to take that second to reset here and try and get those meds popped, but Sang's gonna go down. They need to get the bat off, but Cody's trying to hold at the moment. He's not able to, and all this damage is coming in from Falcons. In the meantime though, Zero, if you've noticed in the kill feed, found himself the big stick once more. Kraber in the hands of ZZ. Oh, it doesn't matter if you got a 30-30, you're hitting headshots.
Such an impressive play from Falcons to recognize where they had to push up, where they had to take space. They couldn't allow Nice Guys to hold that spot. Otherwise, they were just going to end up being forced between two teams. Instead, Falcons take the fight to them and they force them away. And now Falcons, their reward will be to continue to hold this bridge. But they have to be aware of a potential port up here. And you can see how just pinging that void passage to ensure no one's going to join them. As Sentinels now down to just one. Lotus back on the feet. And is doing the job as the Watson at the moment. Back against the wall, quite literally.
Gen might be enough. I was going to say to maybe win this one. THUGGETS are going to come in as well, but they'll be eliminated as Falcons drop down, using that port to control the zone and the space around them once more. They do not want to let anybody within the vicinity of that bridge as Zero is going hunting. Oh! He found his prey. Grow Gaming are gone.
11 squads now remain as Nice Guys will be eliminated after being bullied off that height by Falcons, and I do have to call out how Falcons are using Wraith rather than Alter. It allows them to do things like that, to quickly portal, engage in a fight, and then get back out. It's not as easy to do that with the Alter Void passages. Yes, you can drop them, but the time it takes to get through the portal just means that you are restricted in those aggressive plays, whereas Wraith really offers up so much more options in those kind of areas. Now, Pioneers, after their long old journey of avoiding DMG, find themselves right next to DMG on the southern side. It is funny how these things happen as DMG get their third back on his feet.
The Falcons are going to have to move in a little bit of time here. ZZ are trying to make their rotate at the moment as well. That's who Falcons are going to have a little pop out here. Another portal goes down by How. They're going to try and play this head glitch, but Guild has fallen. Does manage to get one bit of cover down. And it's Zero who takes him down with that Kraber.
Defensive nade, though, from How. He just waits and he covers as Walty comes to try and get the res. And they should be able to get back up to a 3 here. They've been able to stabilize. No one really pushed off of the damage that had been done, and Falcons can back off. But that zone is still going to force Falcons in. They are not safe here.
ZZ now in a very good spot. Zone spammers in the worst spot at the moment as they've just been eliminated. They're in the spectator screen watching right now. They'll poke through the window. Pioneer's going to go next. It's DMG who killed them again. They will not want to hear that name on World's Edge. Pioneers, not been a good one for them. ZZ try and find an angle for a Kraber shot. It connects, but it does not get the knock.
Zero happy to go into zone to take that shot. That window has just been the key for both teams to just poke and prod. And they both have been able to stabilize, but the nades are now starting to come in. Funk gets blown into smithereens, but just about stabilizes as well. Up to 5 kills now for ZZ. 9 squads now remain as well. Falcons is ZZ on the very edge. Then towards the center, you've got TSM, you've got NIP. Hot Dog Mafia are currently holding out DMG as well. We should probably go down to 8 squads quite soon unless DMG can do something spectacular. As now Zero starting to plan his form of attack. And here is the remainder of Hot Dog Mafia. And there is the end of them. 8 squads will be what we reside with.
Yeah, unfortunately, therefore, Rambo falls apart like the US Ryder Cup team and just goes down. And that's going to be DMG who pick up another kill here to move into the top 8. 6 kills, by the way, for DMG. Falcons trying to scope out a place to play. The portal will go down. And again, How finds a spot to call home momentarily. Falcons find a space in zone.
You can see how many teams are currently in the area as well as ZZ have taken a couple of pop shots. Hal's taking a lot of damage, is able to go into the void though to survive. This time the Q does pop off in time as it didn't before, and now Zero will port them up with the void passage, but ports them up into a lot of damage, and both teams struggling to get in here.
Yeah, Walter's just been taken down as well. Hal's going to be on his own. He doesn't have his Q available to jump into the void for 3 seconds. If he can survive long enough to get that off, he'll be able to wrap through this zone. but one tick from that zone might take him down. Hal could be falling in the next few seconds, unless he can do what he does best, which is find a place to rat. Ninjas in pajamas now, forced into zone. Thermite's going down. They jump into the building. They know they need to look for KP here, and the spray from McLovin might be good enough to take down CIMJ. They will win that fight, but McLovin will go down.
Absolute mayhem with the amount of void passages as well, just allowing you to transition from one to another, go from building to building, from up to low, from down to high as Unreal Nightmare get the kills onto NIP. 6 squads now remain. Funk's just gone down again as TSM will get that knock.
Sykes is down as well and been finished, so it's just 0. Who is alive? Falcons are still alive, though. Waltzy on his feet, by the way, as TSM have found Hal. And Panic has taken him down. Falcons will fall. ZZ will go down straight afterwards as well. And can TSM now finally make the most of the zone going their way? Panic trying to hold the line.
Well, TSM take down Liquid Alienware now. Unreal Nightmare. They maybe can come through, but I say that, suddenly it all changes.
Well, Duplex has a chance to clutch, but Unreal Nightmare will win here on E-District in game number 3. My goodness. That was a carnage-filled endgame there. It was so difficult to even predict who was in a good position to win it. But in the end, it's going to be Unreal Nightmare who claim that champion banner.
And remember what I said earlier, Unreal Nightmare have no championship points. They have to win Pro League or win regional finals, and they are teeing themselves up well. They were 4th going into today in those overalls, and I tell you what, if they can win today, suddenly that dream of winning Pro League is very much a possibility. Now, getting into regional finals, sure, that's very doable. They pretty much are there already, but still have to do a job to win regional finals. But the fact to win Pro League against some of these teams would be an outstanding feat. But you know, we're not quite there yet, but certainly the writing is on the wall for them, and they are demonstrating they have what it takes here.
Yeah, really, really impressive from them. We'll take a look at the match results to see how many points they managed to put on the board in that game number 3. 18, 6 KP alongside the win. You'll take that every day of the week if you're Unreal Nightmare. TSM finally making something of a zone that they had prior to with 13 points in a 2nd place. Liquid Alienware and ZZ tied up on 10 points apiece, but DMG, they played for the kills in that game. They managed to work their way into the top 6, but it's the 9 KP that carry them to 12 points.
Wow, 18 points on the board. And we could see how important Rampart was in those late stages as well. Not just Sheila, but being able to get that amped cover down, and the odd ban of Crypto coming through. Similar to what we saw in APAC actually happening. Crypto going a lot earlier than expected. But I think that's what happens when suddenly Newcastle disappears and people are like, wait, maybe we have to kind of pivot a little bit as to what we want to play. And that's why we saw a lot more Rampart and a lot more Crypto coming into the equation. So Falcons will still hold on to 1st place on 34, but Unreal Nightmare have now caught them up. NIP also quietly going about their business on 31. Rain Day, it's getting a little bit tight at the top.
ALGS, so much fun from all different sides of the pond. Teams that need to qualify and need to win big in order to do so. Teams who already are going to champs, but just about setting the tone for the rest of the season and what their version of their champs team is going to be. I really love what we're seeing. And I think you mentioned a team that kind of snuck under the radar a little bit appropriately. It's NIP. This is a squad that I thought would have maybe a bit of a bigger day. They are a team that could win whenever they're in a lobby. So I like them not only to keep an eye on for regional finals as we get closer to that, but in this lobby particularly, top 5, top 4, after 3, that's a sign that things are going well. Also DMG with that crazy run on a Cruel Buckle, trying to finish him off. It didn't hurt them too much in terms of points, still making it nearly into that top 5. That means a team has decided how they're going to play, and the guys are feeling it. Future Streams and Squad know that, hey, this is how we want to run at teams. We're just going to do this. Sometimes it's going to work in our favor. Sometimes it might delay us, but this is who we are. All that to just say that 3 games have gone by, gentlemen, and that means that we are closing in on our what you might have missed halftime as the players take a break, and maybe you at home take a little bit of a break, grab some water. Well, turn the volume up if you do leave your monitors or your screens, because we want to catch you up on everything that's happened across the globe. Now, when APAC South and APAC North met up a few of these weeks earlier, we had a chance to give you match day updates here and there from both regions separately over the course of these last 2 days. We've got it all together now, so let's give you the rundown. For APAC South, the headline, Gen G is on fire. The new kill record belongs to Asia. This is just a massive achievement for an individual. It showcases how good and how skilled Asia is. It also maybe makes us think that, is the EVA 8 better than we're thinking about in terms of cleaning up some of these kills? Certainly a lot faster in terms of fire rate for that. Of course, match day 6, it was only a warm-up for Gen G as they won that, then dominated completely in match day 7. Gen G finished top 2 in 5 rounds, winning map 2, and the team left a wake of destruction. I mean, climbing to the top, they finished with 55 total kills. Dexter, they had an impressive 19-kill game, but it was all Asia who stole the show. 1750 in terms of damage per round on average for 34 kills. And yes, he takes the top spot from Effect. What's next, though? We head into the last 2 rounds of Split 2 with Gen G and Wolves in commanding positions in the region and a very competitive midfield battling the placements ahead of the regional finals. The final doubleheader of Split 2 is on October 4th. That's when we have our Challenger Circuit playing as well. But Dan, APAC North, they had their own drama.
That they did. Unlimited started off hot for APAC North doubleheader with a win in map 2 on match day 6. Larmin led the lobby, getting 23 kills of the team's 36. Now, Ty came in a very close second, trailing Unlimit by 1 point, despite winning match 6, excuse me. Now, Soten, they did move on to dominate match day 7 with 95 points and 65 kills. The team averaged nearly 3,500 damage a map, cutting their way through the field with 3 map victories. Now, what was strange was Enterforce 36. They had an uncharacteristic, lackluster day, finishing 15th and collecting only 5 standing points and being overtaken by Unlimit. If you've been checking in with APAC North, you'd know we've been seeing E36 at the top of the leaderboard time and time again, but it was not to be for them on this match day. Now, APAC North, it does head into its penultimate match day on October 4th, so tune in to catch the last match day from Group A and Enterforce 36, who are seeking to bounce back from a bad weekend and overtake Unlimit and Soten to punch their ticket to Sapporo. As you can look at just how everything is looking at the moment, ST 102, Unlimit overtake E36, and it is getting a little bit tight there at the top.
Well, thank you so much for the update there, Dan. I got to say that is what you might have missed if you haven't been paying attention. But if you want to play, I mentioned this earlier in my update for APAC South. October 4th through 6th is when the next Challenger Circuit is played. And if you want to jump in, make sure to register on battlefied.com/ALGS by October 1st for your chance to get in. You never know what might just happen. Well, as we kind of settle in from this halftime update as well, Mark, I think the big note is that we cannot deny it, despite us focusing on EMEAs and Americas week in and week out here on our main broadcast channels for Play Apex, that the last winner of the midseason playoffs was from APAC South, and that this is such a competitive region. When you go back just several wins for our trophy and heading into Sapporo, it needs to be a global conversation on who are the threats. Certainly, Gen G's performance, Unlimited's performance prove that.
I agree, and I like to stir the pot, as you know, and I would claim that, you know, the Falcons win. 2 of the players were Australian. Was it a North American win? I'm not sure. I'm just saying. Oh God,
man, you're giving Gino more fuel.
I'm just saying, if you think about it like that, APAC South got the win, and if you look back through recent history, kind of been chopping and changing. It's not been a clear cut who's going to win these things. So yeah, going into Sapporo, I fancy another APAC North winner. I don't know. There was something magical about Sapporo last time. The crowd, every time that one of the APAC North teams got going.
You know.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Next thing you're going to be telling me Verholz's parents are, you know, Australian. So he's actually, you know, got
have you seen their have you seen their passports? I don't know. They could be dual nationality. Who knows?
There's a conspiracy theory bit we're going to have to bring Mark in for and just say anything that we might not know. That's the second version of what you might have missed. That's after hours, what you might have missed. Speaking of after hours, a little bit of a different style of tournament for us is the Red Bull Legends Inn. It's a ton of fun. It is in Chicago. It's on December 5th, and I can't wait for you guys to hopefully be a part of it. Check it out.
Yo, nobody does it like us. The unstoppable, the unbeatable. Are we here now? Let's get it.
We've taken over the Godfrey Hotel. It's different, it's unique, it's nothing you've ever experienced before.
The room was pretty sick. I hope all the competitors sleep well after we kick her.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Let's rock it. Are you kidding?
Everybody's dying the zone.
Get fucked.
Crook goes down to Timmy and Hal.
I mean, that
It's Timmy's Legendary Lather, the soap that brings champions to life.
Oh my god.
No. Live in the Godfrey Hotel.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
The Red Bull Legends Inn is returning this December 5th in Chicago, Illinois to the Godfrey Hotel, where 19 teams will compete live in an Apex Legends Duos tournament for a $25,000 prize pool. If you think you and your duo have what it takes to compete against Apex Pros, signups are open now at battlefy.com/Red Bull Legends Inn to compete in the online qualifiers on October 25th and 26th, where 2 duos will win the opportunity to compete live in person at the Godfrey Hotel, Chicago. Must be 18 plus to order, and more info can be found at redbull.com/legendsinn. Well, as somebody who has been thrown from a plane thanks to Red Bull with Hal and Timmy, I got to say this is probably going to be an exciting adventure for anybody who can make it. So make sure to grab your tickets, join up the ALGS community, and if you haven't been to Chicago, if you haven't really traveled the States much, it's a great excuse to get to one of our great cities. It is truly a beautiful place to spend some time, spend a weekend. So if you're free or if you want to compete either way, consider heading out that way in December. You know, I do find that this is really a great kind of midway point for this lobby. And I want to get some, and since we're going to have, Dan, I think you take a break in a second, your thoughts after 3 from kind of the headlines here with whatever struck you the most after 3 games and now switching over into E-District or World's Edge, I think.
Yes, switching to World's Edge. I think the zone heavy playstyle that we're seeing from everyone right now is obviously happening, but with Newcastle disappearing, it does change things going into World's Edge a little bit, but I think that everyone has realized in this lobby they've respected each other enough to know that trying to play Edge too much is just not going to result in too much success. So that's why we're seeing people commit to the zone. And also, we've had 3 pretty similar zones across E-District, so there hasn't been much room to change those playstyles or try to go for something a little bit different. But now going into the last 3, there are going to be teams who are chasing points a little bit more, and that's when we might start to see a couple of those compositions and legends be a little bit different from what we've seen so far. And I'm just impressed with the likes of Unreal Nightmare, who are really going toe-to-toe with some of the best players in the region when they had to, going into this split. If they wanted any chance of getting to champs, they had to do the unthinkable, and at the moment, they're putting themselves, at least in the conversation, of maybe reaching there.
Well, it's a great final thought, Dan. Take a break. We will see you for games 5 and 6, but you done some great work so far. Mark, it's time to jump into this next set. We're switching maps as well. I know that the lobby's getting ready. We might have a chance to see some of those POI choices heading into World's Edge, see whether the priority was on this second side of the map, or if we were kind of seeing people prioritize E-District earlier on. If it's like similar to the earlier version we would have seen in EMEA, it would be a lot of World's Edge prioritization, and it's pretty similar there. A few more teams opting for E-District, but yeah, Mark, I think this is a World's Edge priority for most squads.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to highlight, bottom right-hand side of your screen. Look at the bottom right-hand side of your map. You've got Falcons, you've got ZZ, very close to each other. Dome is Falcons. ZZ are taking big board, but it's DMG being between them. And we have seen how DMG have been playing in those first 3 games and also in scrims. So you got to hope and you've got to make sure you check your corners when you're trying to rotate, because DMG, if they see an opportunity to get a kill in whatever way they can, they're going to take it. So interesting to see that and potential interactions between those 2 teams down on the bottom right. But obviously SkyWest always going to be the first pick. It's still the strongest POI, I think, across all. If you're taking out maybe Trident POIs from Storm Point, all of the maps that we do have. So it's going to be an interesting set of games here as we once again have 3 different winners across our 3 games.
It was a great start to this split because we had across 4 different regions, 24 different winners. Nobody had a repeat win. And while that's changed, that hasn't been the case since in previous weeks. We've still seen way more variety when it comes to teams having moments of success across different parts of not only the match day, but the match days. And Unreal Nightmare, while all the talk about Falcons and ZZ, we're saying it doesn't really matter to us. You could be XX, you could be YY, you could be WW. I don't care who's in front of us. We're going to enjoy running at you. I should have said W key right there as the way to lead off of that. But ultimately, I love that. And taking on the challenge too, Mark, it's something that clearly shows they've got the right mental to be successful in a task that requires 100% execution. And you cannot miss on winning regional finals if you're going to make it. So they know what they're set out to do, and it looks like they're set up to do it.
Yeah, I mean, taking Essential POI here at Harvester hasn't got the best of loot, but one thing Essential POI always gives you is a pretty good rotate, regardless of where the zone is going to be going. So speaking of which, it looks like we're going out towards Overlook, No Name, that kind of area, potentially pulling back towards Fragment and the train track outside of it, but a little bit of a rough zone when it comes to playable spots here. I think if you're here early, you're going to be happy. Otherwise, very difficult if it pulls towards the Overlook side of, well, kind of working your way and walking your way up that hill if you're not there early. So a tough one for all the teams on the west-hand side of World's Edge right now. That kind of shows it. Liquid in a great spot.
I completely agree with you. I'm saying, looking at this could be the first Liquid Alienware we've seen in a minute, and Alienware win, because this is a great spot for them to be into, but kind of transitioning more towards the Fragment side of things. They see the Durags kind of positioning there, maybe feeling confident that if they do need to play Overlook, a spot here would help them rotate late if they need to, but still survive all the teams coming in. If you hard commit to Overlook itself, you do risk being really caught out and having nowhere to play from. So teams being a bit wary, no one kind of positioning on that far side. ZZ moving in just a moment, but boy, oh boy, it is truly getting congested there in just a few seconds. You can see on that north and eastern side, everyone has got the message. This is where the zone is going. So TSM, Sentinels, mirroring each other here. Loader finding the kill into Gent early, trying to pick up Panic and shut them out, but already getting aggressive here.
That spray coming in from the flat line. I'm looking forward to an AR meta at some point in the future.
Yeah, we haven't seen the flatline in a while.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a little 301, maybe flatline meta coming back. A little bit of a Nemi meta, who knows? Maybe Sentinels are ahead of the curve here with a flatline and a Nemesis, or more likely they just haven't been able to find the guns that they want. But Riley's going to get the knock-ons of Panic here, and TSM once again struggling a little bit at the start of this game. Sentinels pushing them. TSM dropping down a tree, if I'm not mistaken. They've got LeaveNoWitness who are moving through the tunnel as well. So TSM could be in trouble, and Duplex, luckily, is in the tunnel, and LeaveNoWitness are above him. Might have heard him, though.
That was a chance.
They might have heard him. They might have heard him. They've got Seer. They know where he is.
Yeah, there's no need to hear. That's the benefit of Seer. You forget how it's so clear that this game is different when you cannot hide and you can hide. And Seer just means you can't hide. They know you're there. Maybe they're going to have a hard time finding you. Maybe they find it's not worth it, but they'll know. And, of course, Seer coming back into the meta after his most recent buffs. Here we go, a little bit on that Overlook side. This low spot, we saw Unreal Nightmare start to position in that way. We saw Durags, we saw Liquid Alienware kind of taking this. Zone Spammers going a little bit on the higher side, trying to rotate, keeping their eyes to the right in case teams like DMG, ZZ, maybe even Falcons come through Geyser. But so far, so good for them as they continue to make their way around.
So I kind of want to talk about compositions and what we can expect in this game, and why I'm really looking forward to these ones, because we've lost Caustic, we've lost Newcastle, we've lost Crypto. TSM, by the way, just been eliminated. Duplex wasn't able to survive. But you know what that takes out is a lot of artificial cover, and it takes out a lot of what I would describe as artificial information from Crypto Drone. So we are going to see kind of some old school Apex Legends here, where the teams are not going to have free information. If you want to hit a survey beacon, you're going to have to go there, get close to it, and hit the thing yourself. Otherwise, in the end game, you're just going to have to rely on your IGL to make those calls. So this is going to be a kind of old school look at Apex Legends, and I think those bans are really going to play into the hands of those strong IGLs.
Well, and you can see a good IGL who feels confident navigating in the unknown a little bit. They're going to show their experience on World's Edge, because these zones are zones a lot of players who have been here from the beginning have played thousands of times. And so going into this without that same crutch of knowing exactly where the zone is, experience can take over. You could say, I've been there before. It's going to pull this way. Let's just move here. I feel like this is going to be better. And that's what they're hopefully leaning on. Remember, a few sparrows here, so they might be able to get some long-range scans, but not as many as you would think since we lost Crypto. I think maybe only 2 sparrows in the entire lobby, Mark. So it's a great point. Going to be very, very different for information finding, and hopefully that means the information comes to you. In this case, the damage has come to Hot Dog Mafia. Skittle Cakes Madness just trying to survive here as they pull back a little bit. Still on the chase, set up a little trap, and Skittle Cakes going to have to abandon the rest of his team.
Yeah, just going to have to run from this one. Does have the Q available, so you can jump into the void here to just cross a little bit more ground. But the problem is when you are inside of zone, like they are at the moment, getting out of zone with people around you is kind of blind. So you could be running into a team here, Skittle Cakes. He has no idea who's in front of him. So it's a case of kind of crossing your fingers and anything else that you... a dexterity that's hanging off that you can cross to hope that you get into a position where you can reset here. ZZ are going to be playing in this vault tunnel at the moment. They've made their way from Big Maud and potentially wrapping behind them. Having hit a survey beacon. Who do you think it is? Well, initially it's DMG, but after that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you got zone spammers, Falcons nearby. These teams are going to be colliding against each other. That's exactly what you kind of pointed to with them in that sandwich. They hear a little something. Watson fence is set up.
You can see the DMG special.
And guys are here, going to be open at least for now, but Falcons kind of there in front of them. DMG, I'm not sure they smell this one yet. They have an idea. Falcons maybe realize it too. They rotate out around. And my God, 14K Resonance running into Skittle Cakes. You say you don't know where people are. Trying to get out of zone is dangerous, and Skittle's finding that out his own way.
And does have the port available, so at least he's got a little speed boost to try and escape. In all of the wiggles, shaking anything that he can shake to try and escape, and will be able to here and should be out of there. Team Falcons are having a look at this to see if there's any damage done that they can take advantage of. And hey, speaking of the DMG special,
Looks like a portal over there.
Falcons were looking to see if they were going to be able to catch someone off guard just playing tight as a 3.
Skittle Cakes, we know, survived. Not sure where. It's probably gotten well away from this. On the top side, it's 14K Resonance who ran into Skittles. Kind of poking a little bit. I like this patient play. It's really not a clear, obvious way to go, and there's plenty of time with this zone, although maybe not as much time as you think. Azring 2 is getting close to moving back in. It's going to be on the fast side, so...
Sorry.
DMG.
Sorry.
Yet again.
If you don't even need to see DMG on the screen, just know who it is. You just know who it is.
That's a great portal as well. And an even better name to say, don't come over here. Wow, great play on play. Future Streams thought he found a way in, just backs it off. DMG looking for anything they can get.
Yeah, ZZ, who would have been, I imagine, taking it really well had they been walked up on like that. And instead, it's going to be DMG who decides to just rotate away here. They're going to take a little bit of a more traditional route.
Very proactive.
Yeah, but towards a couple of these buildings, but you can see the difficulty now is like, how do you get in? Like, they're safe for now, but their next rotate is so tough. There's just this, the zone has moved further north as well, so there's just barely any playable spot whatsoever that's going to be open.
And, you know, we said Liquid Alienware, but they made the call to go down towards Fragment. What they're hoping for at this point is it goes towards Overlook in this next zone and pulls back down. It's still a chance for them to be safe. They will be safe in this next zone, everyone who bet low. But if it goes all the way up high, Masters of Evil, Pioneers, they're in great spots here. NIP maybe in the best spot. Absolutely no one on the north side.
I think Hal just completely lost that player. I don't know how he managed to escape. 2 players up to purple now, at least here for Team Falcons, which is going to make their rotating a little bit easier. I tell you what, it's headshot central, where every time we're watching a POV from Falcons at the moment, either Guild or Hal are only connecting with the cranium.
Well, that's the efficiency sometimes. Players like this, you know, sometimes it feels like things open up for them, but it could just be 2 headshots. And when you talk about the skill that you don't often talk about, I mean, that's one of them. I mean, everybody at this level is good, but you're not always firing on all cylinders. We call it, you know, heat check in basketball. When you're shooting from anywhere, you're basically, the ball's going in. Just give me the ball. Let me throw it in. These headshots sometimes, trying to do a little heat check, saying, can we just take on anybody? Because 2 shots, get somebody down. Well, what was a heavily guarded ridge, suddenly it's a 3v2 in your favor.
The zone has pulled back to no name. So the respawn village, whatever you want to call it, that you can see on the screen. It's a great read from Team Liquid Alienware, like you were saying a little bit earlier. And I think a lot of teams would have known it wasn't going hard overlook off of that first zone because the back wasn't in. However, it's still a great call from Liquid Alienware to get to this position, to be in one of those priority buildings. CIMJ also made a really good quick rotate bet for everyone else. I mean, you have to play for KP, especially if you're on that eastern side of zone, because getting in is almost impossible at this point, especially with the legend bans that we've seen. You've got to hope that somehow or other your Wraith can maybe find a portal in late.
And this is just going to mean that the teams who are just a little bit patient, a little bit late to the party, that don't get focused on the immediate entrance, are going to have so much potential KP to clean up on. It is going to be, let somebody else get involved, get started, do the work for me, take out the loan. I'll be a silent partner and reap all the benefits when the project is done. That's the way you want to navigate this. Grow Gaming already eliminated one of our leaders here in the lobby by Sentinels, and they're going to get back up as a full 3. And now Team Falcons on their first fight against Sentinels here. They've heard a little bit of the damage. Waltzy goes up high. 1 PK shot will hit. 108 down. Another one onto Riley. They're rotating outdoors. Another big shot. And this looks like Imperial How and Gildersons are going to be able to clean this one up. And they're just going to get the KP to secure the 3v2 or the 2v1, however it is, and make sure numbers are in their favor before they peek and poke out anymore.
Durags gone as well. A few teams just been eliminated. CIMJ, one of the notable ones, by the way, because they were holding down one of the buildings inside of the respawn village. 14k residents are going to go. Sentinels are going to go. And if you've got a gimme bubble at this point and you don't have a building, well, you might be in a very, very tough situation to get through here. ZZ in one of those tough situations. They've got a Maggie drill coming at them as well. They've just burned their bubble. They're going to have to try and force this fight. And if they can win it, it's an isolated fight. They will be able to walk in down this hill. It's KCP on the other side. The bubble does come back out. Zero's going to swing out, but a huge amount of damage. And it's backed up by Funky. This is looking like a comfortable win. Pioneers eliminated. ZZ own the hill.
Pioneers making the big call to overlook. They realize it doesn't work, and they have to force that fight with ZZ. There's nowhere else to go. They look for the KP, but Sykes with a beautiful Gibraltar bubble just to give them that left-hand edge. He could have thrown it where they were, but they would have been able to get wrapped a little bit by Pioneers, and by throwing it to the left, it meant that they could put Pioneers to the back in between them and the zone. It was such a nice move by Sykes, and I think really helped win that fight with ease there. So ZZ, stay alive. Zone Spammers still in building, as Zone 4 has 50 seconds left before things get even tighter.
Zone Spammers at the moment, Wi-Fi laying down the Ethernet cables on the Watson to make sure that the connection is good inside of that building. They're going to be able to control that very, very nicely. Inside of the bar, though, Team Falcons know this is a KP game. They are searching and hunting for anyone at the moment that they can take down. And one of those players has been very elusive at the moment. I think it was from Ninjas in Pyjamas, that player who was just dodging and diving.
It was Vayne, found a way to take a very fast Void Nexus. Knew Hal was on the hunt. It was good awareness there, but will Vayne have gone back to a safer spot, or will it be danger all around? Waltzy getting peppered there. He's got to join Hal if he can, but still holding this split, trying to take as much space as possible. Hal going to go back to his team.
And they do have a walk in here, potentially Falcons. And a lot of the lobby now is on the northern side. All of a sudden, Masters of Evil, nice guys. You're looking at them right now, and ZZ alongside them, probably waiting for this fight to take place before they look to move in and third it. That's going to be the plan here for ZZ, but nice guys on the height, and in the tunnel, it's going to be Masters of Evil. Cody with the prime bow as well. They're going to look to kidnap someone, look to make something happen, and ZZ have decided to move away from this. They've ported much closer to zone now.
I think that's Unreal Nightmare taking a couple of kills, but then Huntsman gets a kill return. It's Zone Spammers, Unreal Nightmare, and I think a little bit of DMG that went down. NIP, a team I said keep an eye on. They're in third place. It's been quiet. We've talked Falcons, we've talked ZZ. Maybe this strong underdog might have what it takes to win this zone. Let's go ahead and listen in as NIP navigates round 4 closing in.
Are they fighting left side? They fighting left side, no?
I killed them all right. I killed them all right. I
Yeah,
killed them all right.
I'm throwing you a cube. We can look left now. I didn't throw the cube.
I'm just looking right, guys.
Okay, look at 3, 2, 1.
I missed.
Shooting. Broke him.
They haven't. What? They haven't finished.
There was a gun high. I killed 2 up here. I killed 2.
Okay. Come, Krav, come. I'm looking.
Flash.
1 HP on the last. 1 HP on last. Can you kill him?
I'm walking up with Dane.
He's on the gen right here on my ping. 1 HP.
Help me.
With you. 1 time. Nice.
Yeah, they might push me.
We're coming back.
I'm bubbling. Just pushing me.
Yeah,
Right here.
Fuse. One. Watch it. Pick him.
Batting.
I can't.
Watch it. Watch it. He's had 2. One. Right here at the corner. He's got
I'm
9.
looking.
He's 1. Okay.
They're on inside. They're about to fight behind.
Look at sound. I think we just focus right side here. Up here.
I mean, I'm gonna try kid up 1. Can we all look?
Okay. I'm looking. Yeah, I got 1.
Yeah.
2. Did we just go through again?
Yeah, I think it's coming to me.
Yeah. I can throw you a port.
I'm with you.
Yeah, look, they're not looking. We got 3-2-1 them. You come. Look, 3-2-1.
Watch it done.
Keep running forward.
Can we take it first?
Bubbling forward, yes, bubbling forward on me.
I can keep you into the first and take it.
Houston, yes.
Nanny, chill.
You need to kill this rock, man.
I can't. I don't have it. Gotta slide across.
Push it.
Oh, then we're dead.
Kill me, man.
And when you know it, we said, where is DMG going to find a place to play? Well, Mark apparently in the building.
Yeah, I mean, Master of Evil just gone down. LeaveNoWitness have gone down. Immediately after Ninjas in Pyjamas will fall, they tried to force into one of the floors of that bottom building, one of the only buildings that is safe in the zone after getting the knock. But somehow or other, Falcons are still alive, trying to find any cover to play. But the composition might be hurting them right now. No Newcastle, no Caustic, no hope here for Team Falcons. They'll go down next. 5 squads remain.
That was a rough rotate. Gilderson's thought maybe there would be somebody there, but Rock is in a great spot. I love how Saucerer has navigated this one with Vaxilon and Deeds. It's a good Maggie ball. It's a good composition. And the Alter and the Watson giving them some clarity, giving them some space, going to destroy the Watson fences down below. With 3 kills, 19 points. A win here. They can stop getting haircut by that Kraber. Do wonders for them. And remember, first place, 42 points, but just beneath that, third, you got 34. So they could jump all the way up to top 5 here with a win.
Sorcerer's got 2.4k damage, by the way.
My gosh.
Deeds has got 1.2k. So ROC, they've been shooting. They've been shooting straight. They've been shooting good. But now can they convert? On the outside of this fence line, Team Liquid Alienware inside of the Dorito building in front of them. The Maggie ball will send THUGGETS up into the sky, and by doing so, it becomes a very easy job for them to clean it up. No damage taken whatsoever there for ROC.
Rocky Sports have done a really good job of playing this, but Zero responds. We've already seen Falcons get the win. Zero says, let me show you what I can do. Beautiful shot, but he goes down, and this is the benefit of the Gibraltar. He's going to have a chance to throw out the the defensive bombardment, but he doesn't need it. And Funk kind of finds a way to just wait it out here. They're still safe on this side. DMG trying to push on the right. Falcons alive, and Team Liquid Alienware still in that building from the very beginning of the game.
A job done here really for a lot of teams in dealing with one player from ROC. It was Liquid who actually extended out to get that knock. Zero's trying to put more pressure on. He wants to start this fight and force this place under the building, but the drill is going to hurt. He's trying to get information on where ROC are, and we'll be able to retreat back to that gen, but the zone is closing. The bubbles had to go. ROC get a little bit of revenge here, but it looks like they will be able to hold. ROC will be eliminated. ZZ's still alive, and they're sticking the res.
What a shot from Sykes, the triple take. Quick swap after the EVA runs out of bullets. That was top tier. Fantastic stuff from ZZ. And now it's DMG. We kept laughing at how they would find a spot to play. Well, they found one. Liquid Alienware, top 3. Given this zone, they'll take it. But can they make it a top 1? Beautiful Gibraltar bubble playing around Gibby's dome. Huge shots from Future Streams. He gets one. He gets another. It's them and Liquid Alienware, which only means that ZZ have to be around the corner. DMG, Future Streams, he misses Sykes. Sykes doesn't miss him, but Liquid Alienware does it from the beginning and to the end. They take the win in Game 4, right where it all started.
A perfect zone read and perfect execution from Team Liquid Alienware. The perfect game of Apex Legends coming from them in the final moments as well. ZZ did everything that they could to really contribute towards that endgame and get good points on the board. Again, a different type of zone to what we've seen so far today. We've seen skyhook zones, we've seen fragment zones. Now we see one which is so difficult to get into if you're not there, especially with the legend bands that we had going alongside it. That was a good game, man. That was a good game, and Liquid getting the benefit of having that console and getting first prio to it.
I love seeing their journey and the commitment to that. And it's exactly what you plan for. This is when everything that you want to do on paper works out in game. And that is what is beautiful to see. You called it a perfect game. I think it is. From the zone all the way to the execution, you get to top 3, you say, all right, I've kind of made use of a zone that pulled my way. That's enough. But to really make it to where we navigated this perfectly, we got to win. And they showed up in that win. Chaotic. Bunch of solo players. Future Stream, Sykes running around. Teams split up. But Liquid Alienware with the Gibraltar make enough of a presence for themselves when popping out of the building. Alongside the altar too. Let's just be very clear. Could not have made those plays without the altar, because they waited until that zone was making sure there were no ways for them to get out without taking huge chunks of zone damage if they wanted to run through the front door. So a major game from all 3 of these teams. Shout outs to ZZ, DMG, and Liquid Alienware. Over 4,000 damage for each squad.
Yeah, you had to really work hard, as you can see from those damage stats, to have success in that game. And it leaves us like this with 2 games remaining today. Team Falcons still on top, but only by 4 points. DMG tied with Ninjas in Pyjamas as well, just behind in those placement points. But it couldn't be closer. I mean, this is the closest I think we've seen the Americans in quite some time. And with 2 games to go, this leaderboard could change drastically.
It reminds me of a lot of what we saw in EMEA, where, you know, we did have about a 55-point cutoff for first place, which is very strange. We're used to seeing the point sponges, but I think, Mark, that's more indicative of the fact that we have been kind of reshuffling the deck here across EMEA. We have been looking at what these changes would impact this meta in being, and I think it's not only just the roster swaps, the legend swaps, the gun meta shifting, and of course the map shifting that has made things a lot more even and anybody's game to seize. Going to be a lot of fun here to finish off our 6-game series with 2 more upcoming. Game 5 on the way after this break.
一方的に見れる。さあ残り3部隊。先に前に出るのはローチ系。
張り付いてO2の車線を切ってますね、一旦。
ただそうなると上のリジェクトから一方的に打たれる。ローソンチケットゾーンはかなり苦しい。
リジェクトも落ちてますね。
はい。さあそこに O2 が入ってきた。挟み込んで O2 が最後尾。ただ上のファイトでまだ今シーズンチャンピオンありません。ただ残り2人体力が苦しいユリス
挟まれましたね。
落とされたポテタンとニュービー。この一騎打ちどちらが取るか。ニュービー3人残っている。囲い込んで取り切りました。マルグレも入った。
さあそろそろですよ。切れますよアンチ。
さあ入らなければいけない。
コちゃんが車線を作りに行った。
装填もちょっと苦しいところですがルミナスが1人取ったか。装填の2ダウン残ったルミナス新加入ここに見せられるか。しかし装填が取り切りました。
ハイグラウンド強ベジが取り切ってエリアかなり広げてますよ。
ポテタも倒れました。残り2部隊強ビジュかなりいいところに入っている。
あと上から見下ろすだけですね。
ここまで15キル17キル伸ばしました。全て取り切れば19キルとなります。
が取り切りましたね。
イグナイト耐えました。
2枚生存してますからね。
そうですね。装填が入ってきました。ただ1人返した。1対1レイジあるのか。しかし装填勝ち切りました。部隊合計キル数はもう13キルへと伸びています。
この間に O2 も蘇生してますね。
15キルまで伸びました。O2 に対してもただ3対2あるのか。
1v3
ワンツー対決取り切ったのは装填。
Red Bull is the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, you rascals. It's great to have you. One of those rascals rejoining us on the commentary desk, Dan Gaskin, alongside myself on set. We are set up for a fantastic last 2 games here down on World's Edge. Once again, 4 different winners. The leaderboard's extremely tight as well.
Very tight indeed. It's difficult to call where this one's going to go. One of the big things that I took away from that one was the amount of Gibraltar that we suddenly started to see arrive on World's Edge. But of course, to counter that, we had plenty of Mad Maggie as well. Now, Alter is going to be banned going into this next one, so that's going to change things. Probably a lot more Wraith coming into the equation. But we saw little to no Gibraltar in EMEA, even on World's Edge, whereas America seemed to be a little bit more in tune when it does come to their selection. And we saw a Gibraltar team win as well in Team Liquid Alienware.
Yeah, I thought for a second that ZZ had a real opportunity to win this, but I didn't realize that Funk went down just before Liquid ported out of this building. If they managed to stay alive and get the res, maybe there was a bigger chance, but unfortunately Sykes was left as last alive. Just a little bit too much to do. DMG just hovering around the edge of this bubble, not going to have the Gibraltar in their composition themselves, so they have to kind of play around what Liquid are doing in front of them. Couldn't win that fight, couldn't win that game, and even though Future Streams did everything he could, Sykes actually managed to secure a second place for ZZ, so a fantastic job for ZZ. But Liquid Alienware with a big win here. 2 games to go. Honestly, I've got no idea who's going to win this lobby. It's like, it's so close between everyone at the moment, and it feels like genuinely anyone can win these games at the moment.
Yeah, and those points could be vital for ZZ as well. Just getting the second place, getting that extra KP on the board could be big when we look at the overalls. And even though these teams are fighting for different reasons, whether you're fighting to try and get one over on a previous teammate, or you're trying to get a little bit further up the leaderboards to get to regional finals, or maybe you are still in contention for winning the entire Pro League and securing your spot for Sapporo. Still a lot to be played for in matches 5 and 6 here. And as I alluded to, Alter will be banned. Now, we weren't far behind with Watson. Watson was pretty much in every composition bar a few as well, so I think Watson will be heavy in this one. But of course, naturally, when we see Alter go, Wraith seems to be the next. And I think that's one thing that has benefited Falcons so far with the early ban of Newcastle. It meant that Alter survived, and it meant that we got to see Wraith survive a little bit longer for Team Falcons, who have chosen her right from the very start. But we also saw Sia coming in. It really was a very different Americas going into match 4, because the amount of time we see them all kind of like 17 teams with the same comp, it all got exploded going into World's Edge.
I will also say I will take a game 1 and 2 ban of Caustic and Newcastle every day of the week. Anyway, into match number 5. Here we go, everybody, back on World's Edge. Team Liquid Alienware getting that win in match number 4 from Overlook towards the respawn village. Perfect zone read from them. They had console, but it wasn't an easy zone to read off the rip.
As expected, Wraith is going to be banned here. 16 of the teams have Wraith, 15 have Watson, and then we have 9 Gibraltars against 7 Mad Maggies, and then sprinkles of everything else. So plenty of Gibraltar teams to work with, but also the teams that are trying to counter it. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get any of those direct counters colliding when it comes to the map. In terms of zone, we're going down towards Lava Siphon, and Team Liquid Alienware are about to find that out for themselves right about now.
Indeed we are. So CIMJ, by the way, who had a really good spot in the last zone, and Liquid kind of run them over. I think a lot of teams tried to assault their building, and CIMJ just weren't able to hold it. They're going to have another chance to have the pick of the litter as to where they're going to play. They also have ring console, so they're going to get the information that teams are going to be arriving very, very quickly. And it looks like they're going to hit an evac here, maybe to try and play one end. I think we've seen quite a lot of South Siphon finishes recently that finish on that platform just below the kind of the little tower with the zip line up to it. But where do you play if you're CIMJ and you see teams arriving? Because TSM have just taken that southern building. Durags have taken the north, so I guess by default, you play in the middle.
It is funny when we see this map overhead and you just see all the teams darting towards the center at exactly the same time. A lot of fast movers here in Americas, and for good reason. We've seen the success of people playing heavy zone. Falcons moving pretty quickly from Dome, DMG from Stacks, ZZ from Big Maud. And they might all collide in a similar area here, especially if you get held out, as Falcons trying to pressure Sentinels, but they might be forced back here. Sentinels might not allow Falcons to make the rotation they wanted to.
And a very fun composition here for Falcons as well. No Watson. And no real kind of
same as last time, right?
No hard cover Legend to play is going to be the Fuse. They're going to try and essentially play the defensive game by commanding the space with the Fuse Qs and the Seer Qs to force teams away. So a little bit of a different way. It's not the physical cover, but it's kind of the ability cover.
And also, Seer almost replacing Crypto, it still does give you a little bit of information when you're running around as well. But I do think that this is an interesting one for Falcon. It's a slightly different take on how to approach the game, which is going to be dominated by Watson as well. Ideally, they would have wanted Crypto. I think while I talked about the fact that they've benefited from Alter not getting banned as early and Wraith surviving, I think Crypto going does hurt Falcons a little bit too. But the same for a lot of the other teams who were using Crypto to their advantage.
So Watson might disagree with you. He's finally free from Crypto jail. He's been playing it for about 12 months now. He's like, oh, there's other legends in the game. Fantastic. Let's hope he doesn't throw in this game because he might be off Seer pretty quickly. Oh, ROC. Dropping over at Climatizer. They're going to have a long way to go. They're going to have a nice little balloon next to the POI to get them up at least towards the bridge. KCP, you can see they've been spotted out up on the high ground there. And ZZ have decided to play the Snake building, which is going to be just outside of a Lava Siphon, which is a pretty smart place to play. We do see pulls down here, but it also has a very good walk-in towards the end game if all of those teams inside of Lava Siphon are forced to fight.
I think ZZ and DMG were able to capitalize on Sentinels looking towards Falcons because it opened up their chance to move on in. And Falcons had to retreat down to launch site and headed to the southern side of the map. And now Falcons are going to be hoping that DMG take the fight against Sentinels so that they can create a distraction for them on the flip side. But DMG looks like they've been able to pass right on by thanks to Wraith. And they can set up one of these RVs and I think they'll be comfortable for a little bit here as well.
A bit of lifeline. Lifeline Watson Wraith here for DMG.
Yeah, the only lifeline in the lobby.
Might be pretty good if you're trying to play one of these trucks. You know my feelings on these trucks. I just feel like you're just so vulnerable. If that gen gets broken, you don't have the ult excels to pop. Watson's got to be on the case. Those nades coming in. If that gen, for example, if that gen gets popped, you see a Fuse team coming, you're in trouble. It's as simple as that. But having lifeline, being able to just tap those reses, get those meds off nice and quickly with the halo, maybe gives you a chance to survive a bit longer.
Yeah, it's your oh crap button that you can punch and just give your Watson a chance to stabilize and maybe get another gen down as well. But perhaps in an area that isn't as vulnerable. Grow Gaming, 10th position at the moment. They had a good start to this series, but it's not exactly been the best of days for them. But with how close it is at the top at the moment, there's always a chance you can come back into it with a good game here. So I think that's probably how a lot of the lobby feels, is they are still in this at trying to pick up some serious points towards the overall standings.
And Grow Gaming, closest team to them at the moment is Pioneers. Falcons are wrapping back 2 stacks at the moment. There is a ring console and a survey beacon, should they wish to participate in collecting that kind of information. 14k Resonance are kind of sliding down the hill at the moment towards Fragment because ROC are pressurizing them. So they're just trying to regroup here, think about fighting for this choke. On the other side of that choke, Nice Guys are going to be waiting alongside Pioneers who are playing the Hill House. This is what we were talking about on this rotate. Zero overextending at the moment, just trying to maybe just gather as much information as he can about what teams are around. Like we mentioned, no more Crypto to do it for you.
Falcons had to double back on themselves and go through Vault Tunnel when they might actually come across one of the stragglers from ZZ. You have to be careful because ZZ might have an eyes on them. And as I say that, Falcons have full sent it onto one of the members of ZZ, and this is going to be a straight 3v3.
I mean, Falcons have just stolen the building. Simple as that. ZZ are busy looking for info. Falcons sees the opportunity, force the Gibby bubble, and now ZZ have to run away, and they have managed to run away. All 3 of them are now playing towards the train tracks, and Falcons, safe inside a zone, say, thanks for decorating in here, boys. We'll take it from here.
Now, the zone is going to continue shifting further north, so ZZ have actually got into the next zone by being forced away, but it's whether ZZ will be vulnerable in that position and whether they'll look to re-engage here, because they might be concerned what's going to happen from the eastern side, teams arriving from Big Board. And actually, it looks like DMG are even taking a look towards where ZZ currently are.
A feed.
Yep.
House down. Exhibits down, but the bubble's down as well. It evens up the numbers, though. And all of a sudden, Walsey's feeling like this is winnable. And it is winnable. 2v3 ZZ sit down.
And I'm sure they would love to celebrate, but they're going to have to just focus on potential third party. Luckily for them, it's only a single member of DMG that was pressing up, so Falcons will have the time to reset. And of course, having the exhibit down just gives them that extra little bit of comfort, knowing they have the information. No one is going to be around. So for match 5, Falcons versus ZZ, Falcons get the better of them.
Now that walk-in that was controlled by ZZ, you can see the clear northern rotate that's available for Falcons to move in towards this zone. It's not comfortable, but there are rocks to play. DMG are looking down on them. Grow Gaming will be as well from the track. So interesting moves to be made. Like you mentioned, though, Wraith still in the composition. How will be able to find a way towards the zone without taking any damage? Looking at what's happening elsewhere, there's a lot of action happening in and around Harvester at the moment. You've got 14K, you've got Ninjas in Pyjamas, LeaveNoWitness who are trying to make their way in as well. The CIMJ, who landed at Lava Siphon, still in a very, very good position in that middle building.
LeaveNoWitness did just hit Survey Beacon, so they'll have info of all those teams at Harvester, so they could skirt around if they would like to avoid all of this conflict. As we check in with NIP, who also in Harvester at the moment. 14K are going to be below them. THUGGETS watching over from a distance as well. Second place right now as we move back over to Grow Gaming. As Noct is going to potentially portal back here. Yes, it looks like Grow Gaming should be okay.
I got you.
Support perk here for Gibraltar means that he's going to be able to get that health back nice and quickly as well. Pops the battery and will essentially be full health. Grow Gaming probably thinking about a difference in rotation now because of the fact that that portal did not look good. 14K Resonance trying to work their way through the S-choke for now, though. Take a little bit of damage, but also output just as much.
Yeah, LeaveNoWitness have been able to get ahead of all these teams. So they hit the survey beacon, they got the info, and they skirted around, and now they can be the ones to hold out these squads if they try and go through this choke. So it might force 14K Resonance to the north, which would then play into the hands of ROC, who currently hold that choke point. Not good news for the likes of 14K and also NIP, because it's a question of where do you go from here?
Lovin goes backwards. Sees there's a team in the S building just below the exit from the tunnel. No bubble now, but just about manages to have enough momentum to carry him back to his teammates. One good thing about Gibby, once you get moving, it's difficult to stop him.
Just travels through the air.
It's basic physics.
Has quite the backside though, and sadly if you do get caught out, very easy to take down. As the zone is going to continue moving a little bit further away from Lava Siphon, up further north. So Unreal Nightmare are going to be in one of the prime spots at the moment, but you can see the Mythic Bin also spawning there on the northeast. Liquid Alienware, Durags, Sentinels all in pretty good spots, but that means that those Harvester teams are really going to be in a dire situation because you're just going to get held out by the likes of LeaveNoWitness and THUGGETS.
Yeah, they're screwed. I'm trying to think of a good spin on it. If you somehow get into zone from here, you've done an amazing job. You're going to have to kill a lot of teams. But Ninjas in Pyjamas, one thing they do have is Pathfinder. Now, Electrified Zipline is going to give them at least a chance to walk up towards where this zone is going to be going. And can you have enough time? And do you have the ulti cells to get it back? That's the question. Looks like they have the power amp on Vayne, if I'm not mistaken, so the ability might come back a little bit quicker, but is it going to be quick enough? That's a real question here for them to make another safe rotate.
Yeah, because even if they move across these train tracks, you've got the likes of TSM and Masters of Evil are going to be ahead of them as well. Any area you go here, if you're NIP, there's another team that's going to be there. Now, Falcons fighting against Grow, but it looks like they're going to portal back. Do Grow try and chase this one?
Yeah, damage was done. They will be able to escape. Defensive bombardment's going to come in from the Gibby. Guild's going to get caught in that stun just a little bit, and now he's going to get blown back towards his teammate, which might have actually helped him out a little bit in that situation. Honestly. But now he's taking damage. It didn't help him enough, though. Hal's trying to hold. Keon's up on the height, though. And now, another 2v3 for Falcons to overcome.
Oh, that bubble just helps Grow close this gap and begin to assess the situation of how they want to go for it. And now Falcons are in a dire scenario. Waltzy trying to bat, Hal trying to just hold for him again. And they're doing well to hold, but it is going to potentially encourage other teams to join this.
There is a team above this that might look down. It's going to be DMG, who are very, very close to this. And it's actually LeaveNoWitness who will be the next team to be eliminated. Walty's left on his own. Howe is down. Falcons, the 2v3, a distant memory as they will be 18th in this lobby, which opens the leaderboards up completely. 14k residents gone. Ninjas in Pyjamas might be next. They are out as well.
We see teams 1, 2, and 4 already eliminated. Talk about blowing open the leaderboards and allowing teams to try and climb back into this. Match 6 is going to be very interesting indeed, but who can capitalize on it right here, right now? One of the biggest teams that is the winner of all this is DMG. Remember, they're in 3rd place. They have a building that they were holding for quite some time. They are going to have to move, but they can potentially catch up and could even take 1st place if they find their way into zone.
Some beautiful ticks coming in from that riot drill here for Gent. Yeah, I mentioned how those trucks could be so difficult to hold when you got Mad Maggies in the lobby as well. Another thing to add to the extremely complex question of how do we hold this. TSM sneaking up for now. They are pretty close to this zone, and Jet's going to get a knock here onto Wi-Fi as well with that 30-30 repeater. So TSM doing some good work here, good damage output. They won't be safe.
So we've only got 1 team left with Seer. 2 of the 3 Seer teams being eliminated already. Not making the difference as much as maybe was thought by the teams. Saying that, we did just see another Seer queue come into this. Now, DMG, this is going to be a big fight for them. If they take it, Halo goes down.
Wi-Fi is going to get picked here, you would imagine. Yep, Future Streams gets the final damage there. DJ Killer. Oh, he's just pulling out all the moves at the moment. And who needs guns? I know Kung Fu.
Guns don't kill people, drop kicks do, and DMG, they will hold. The lifeline proving to be vital. Extra points on the board as they now will catch up. 1 and 2 in the leaderboards. They find themselves on 40 points now, and they actually might be able to take this across and put themselves in a position where they are within zone.
Future Stream's going to drop that portal down the bottom, but that is not a safe spot to play. If anyone can get an angle on this, then they will be in trouble. They do have a Watson Gen, though, to give them temporary cover. Do they have the Halo available quick enough? You can see that multiple ALGS cells are being popped at the moment. They do have another Gen available. Pioneers eliminated next. They won't be involved in this endgame. Zone Swammers will follow in suit. DMG somehow or other are surviving this situation. Just so many teams on top of them that everyone's afraid to poke.
They're actually looking to get a little bit aggressive here, but they will back off, realizing that they're probably vulnerable from above. They want to get up, but going up this zip line could prove to be deadly. It also would give away their position a lot. I don't know if Hot Dog Mafia know that they're below them. If you do just make a little bit too much noise, suddenly your game might end very quickly. Zone's going to shift now to the southwest. Great news for TSM. THUGGETS also in the area, CIMJ and Masters of Evil. Liquid Alienware are going to be the team that has to move the furthest. And then look at all the commotion on that southeast side, by the way. DMG, who worked so hard to get across now, maybe they would like to transition across the lava.
Yeah, I think if you can get a port down there, certainly an opportunity. Speaking of which, Neazal has to hit one of these shots and take an opportunity. With this Kraber, if Liquid want to work their way and find a hole that they can go through towards where this zone is going to be going. Remember, winners of our previous game, Liquid and Alienware, and they would love to go back-to-back here on World's Edge.
So it is going to be Masters of Evil that are going to be the true thorn in the side for DMG, but they do now start to make their way across, but also very aware of their surroundings and just double-checking. And they're not going to get shot from above, but now Masters of Evil do spot them. This is going to be tough for DMG.
Not safe in zone here. It's going to close. Arcstar's going to be dropped by that Gen. Might give them a little advantage to throw a couple of grenades towards their opponents. They're turning back at the moment, waiting for Z10 to see if they're going to move and then try and base their play off of it. But the right drill is going to speed things up now. They are getting ticked heavily behind this rock.
Halo has to come down. Now, with the Halo gone, you're now looking towards Future Streams and saying, all right, what can you do with the portal here? But I don't even know if there's going to be time to wait for that portal. Is there anywhere they can survive? Oh, maybe this works.
They are safe. Just. Elsewhere, TSM have just been eliminated. Liquid Alienware down to 1 as well. Bubble does go out. Grow are trying to push onto Jaguares here and will do so effectively. 10 squads now remaining. Turns to 9 almost immediately as Nice Guys will be followed up. by turning into death boxes. Unreal Nightmare have involved in an endgame once again here. Hot Dog Mafia go down. As CIMJ and Grow Gaming will be neighbors here as Durags will fall too.
Unreal Nightmare have been very impressive today. 7 squads. CIMJ are also losing players, and DMG have been able to get in. But oh, Evil will spot them out. That's a cheeky position. But DMG just able to reset. And now they maybe will be able to capitalize on one player just giving up that spot.
That's the kind of pipe that only Super Mario Brothers are usually more familiar with. Thuggets just been eliminated, but ROC trying to fight their way in towards this zone. Bubble goes down. You do have that first knock onto Unreal Nightmare. But that's just giving DMG the chance maybe to climb up here and look to third party this. Nox is going to have to take that portal back. And ROC will stabilize for now.
2 Gibbies, 2 Maggies. So the Gibraltar teams, you are not safe at the moment. And then on the other side, you've got DMG, who are completely against the grain and have the lifeline to work with.
Off the back of destroying that gen, by the way, Huntsman's gone down. The nade timed perfectly, as might be this portal from DMG. Chaos Feelings, 1 HP in a dream. DJ Killer trying to hit all the, spin all the classics right now. And he's still alive in this situation and still pumping with this Eva.
Takes down masses of evil into the top 4. Any chance for a tippy tap? Does get one. And now he can help heal them up as well. Grower starting to get involved though as ROC looking. Unreal Nightmare get eliminated. 3 teams now remain.
ROC trying to move up on this ramp. They've got the head glitch to play. Arguably the best position in zone as Unreal Nightmare will finally fall. Kills going the way of ROC here as they have Grow in front of them, and it's a case of now just waiting for this 3v3 to go their way. It's a straight shootout, although so much damage has already been done to Grow.
Grow should just get chunked away, and ROC will take match 5 and capitalize on a very interesting endgame that was perhaps just thwarted by a portal in from DMG. They really did change things and change how people were going to plan that final circle, but there was fences everywhere with no crypto around. It meant that we had a lot of Watson to work with.
Yeah, we certainly did indeed. It's a tough one to say. In that final moments, DMG, it was fascinating to watch their rotate in the endgame though. It always felt like they were leaving it too late, and then it found out they were actually timing it pretty well, every single one of their rotates. But yeah, it's ROC once again, late in a series, producing a performance like we've seen from them on previous match days that puts them in a really, really good position going into match number 6 in the overall standings. We'll take a look at the results from that previous match to see where the points were distributed. At the top of the leaderboards, it is going to be ROC. 13 KP, by the way, alongside the win means 25 points in the bank for them.
And because we saw the early exits from the likes of Falcons, from the likes of ZZ, we saw some of the top teams fall, which means it just opened up the leaderboard for new people to start to jump up, and I believe that will send ROC up even above Falcons. So this is going to be such a tight ending going into match 6.
We'll take a look at the overalls when we have them as well after our head-to-head between ROC and Grow Gaming. Good kills for both teams, to be honest with you. You'll take double-digit kills every single day of the week. 14 assists, 18 assists, respectively, for the 2 teams. Damage output from ROC, though, so impressive. Going towards contributing to that win in match number 5. Here is the series results. This is how it looks. And DMG have taken away first place.
You definitely wouldn't have expected that at the start of the day with DMG being there. I mean, 1 match to play and they have it in their own hands to try and win this series today. But ROC very close behind them. Falcons within touching distance as well. With the early exit from ZZ, they do fall off a little bit, but I mean, when we were in EMEA and there was only, 14 points between first and second, we were still saying, second place still has a chance. And we did see second place go on to take first when it was a 14-point gap. So we now have a 14-point gap between first and 9th here in Americas. So I think that says how tight it's going to be going into the last match of the day.
Wherever you're watching right now, let us know in the chat who you think is going to take it overall, because we've got 1 more game to go today in the Americas Pro League, and we're going to find out who will be the winners right off this break.
Need a breather, Wally. Should I slow down?
Ah, now that's a work of art right there.
Of course you think that. You've got one bloody eye.
Uh-oh.
walk it off? Yeah, you'll be all right. Oh, guess not.
Putting my heart out there.
Reckon both fired up, literally, cuz.
Some days it's just too easy.
Finally. Thought it'd never shut up.
Well, funny thing about a wild card, they always turn up again.
Welcome back. This has been a very special day for everyone involved. The Apex Legends has not disappointed, and going into match number 6, we still have no idea who's going to take home match day number 7. My name is Onset. Alongside me is one of the most handsome people that you'll ever lay your eyes on. His name is Dan Gaskin. And Dan, how do you think this game's going to go? Can I get a prediction out of you?
God, that's a tough one, isn't it, with it all being so tight. Falcons versus ZZ in a 3v3 in the final circle to see who is the ultimate IGL. It couldn't be written better.
I'll take it. Let's look at the final circle from the previous game. If that happens, by the way, we might have to test you for being like a witch or something. I don't know how it works, but you know, DMG in these final moments. We'll put a thermo on your feet and see what happens. DJ Killer doing what he could to secure a really good endgame for them. Actually put them into first place in the overalls, but it was ROC down who managed to take it home.
What I like is DMG playing something a little bit different as well, bringing out the lifeline. No one else is doing that at the moment, so again, just trying to find something else that can work and help with this meta that we have seen developing. But we did see the ban coming through in match 5 for Wraith, so that changes a lot going into match 6, because that means we've not got Alter, we've not got Wraith. We might see a bit more Pathfinder. That was kind of what happened in EMEA when we lost all of these rotational legends, but the more Gibraltar we're seeing in this region is a surprising one to me, and because of that, you're seeing a lot of Mad Maggie to try and counter it as well. As I said, in that final circle, you had 2 Gibraltars, 2 Mad Maggies, and if you are the Gibby team, you're a little bit worried, hoping that there's not too many Maggie teams still alive.
It's difficult to almost track utility as well, right? Because everyone's popping ult excels. You can have the option to pick, as one of the perks on Maggie, the double riot drill as well. So you're like, oh, I've used one drill. And then you're like, oh, it's not the big drill. So they've still got another one. It's very difficult to kind of navigate and keep an eye on and track all of these abilities that are going on around you. So it's a tough one for teams at the moment to keep their eyes and ears to the ground on what they can expect to do and how to counteract it. But I think we might see a little bit of Ashe in this final game as well. We haven't seen much Ashe today, and certainly does have that port to give you that rotational ability and also that team fighting ability as well. But I will say, as a, you know, the biggest Ashe fan in the world, I will say pre-patch, maybe even pre-patch with the double dash, bring back double dash.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
Doesn't feel like she did. So I can understand why she has fallen a little bit to the wayside in comparison to some of those other legends.
Yeah, I completely forgot Ashe was still available, actually. Then that makes perfect sense for Ashe coming in. We only had 1 in that last game. And it does seem strange considering that at one point in time, it was 20 teams picking Ashe. But as you say, the changes that have come through now, Wraith does seem to get preferred over it. Alter definitely preferred over her as well. So now will be the chance maybe for Ashe to shine. I'm sure we will still see Pathfinder teams as well. But speaking of the changes and patches and coming through and what's happened, we of course had a somewhat recent patch that has changed things in these weeks of Pro League, where Mad Maggie got a big buff. Seer also got a buff as well, which is why we've been seeing those 2 legends more prevalent so far.
Yeah, I mean, some of the changes that are notable as well, it's not just Legends, but there was the adjustments as well to those marksman weapons that we talked about throughout the shows today. The 30-30 getting a nerf on that headshot damage, the charge rifle getting a little bit of a nerf as well, and the accelerator being added to the scout as well makes it a much more viable option for teams and players to use to get those abilities back a little bit quicker. There was a slight nerf to Caustic and the slow damage ramp up. However, I will say we only get to see one game of Caustic, still extremely strong in this current meta. But I think the big ones there, as everyone has kind of alluded to and we've seen so far, is the big Mad Maggie changes. The animation and release sped up for the riot drill means that you've got gun up even quicker to get back into the fight. The Wrecking Ball, increased damage, speed packs, impacts, and more, by the way, when you look at the perks and what can be added. It's pretty strong, especially when you are playing one of those static, kind of more static compositions where you're kind of bunkering down in a corner.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of it. We saw the meta shift, and especially on Storm Point, we suddenly saw everyone playing Gibraltar plus Newcastle, and people were like, oh, okay, hold on a second, we're seeing something new, and maybe we have to copy this. And you always get that development in a meta where you see something dominate, and then teams trying to push the narrative of how do we conquer that? How do we counter that? And that's where we find ourselves in the middle of that in the moment, where with the buff, especially for Mad Maggie, it means that you see a few more Maggies coming into the equation, and suddenly you're not as comfortable on that comp.
I mean, we started the day off talking about a rivalry renewed and the two teams that we were obviously focusing on. Understandably, I'm sure for everyone who's watching right now has got a keen interest on how that battle has been going. We've got some stats to throw up as well that we'll have a look at in a few seconds between the two teams, because it feels like Falcons are getting the better of it at the moment. When you're looking at the kills, Dan, not much between the two teams, but it's been the placements that's been the real difference maker.
Yeah, I think technically in actual engagements between the two teams, I think ZZ are 2-1 up against Falcons, but that's not the name of the game in Apex Legends. It's not about just beating another team in a fight, it's about outplacing the team and getting more kills, which is why clearly Falcons are ahead at the moment. But all can change going into match 6, and both teams have been impressive at different times. Both teams have also struggled at different times, and that is the ups and downs of any battle royale, and sometimes you have to roll with the punches with what's presented in front of you. And was interesting in that previous game where, yes, Falcons took down ZZ, but for what? They then finished in 17th place, and it wasn't necessarily the best of the games for them as well. So that's why these actual head-to-heads when it comes to the engagements don't matter as much. We have to look at bigger picture and how the teams are achieving.
A couple more stats to look at here between the two IGLs. Looking at kills, 0 leading the way, assists leading, tied up between the two, and damage output from 0 a little bit higher. Has had that Kraber in his hands a couple of times, which is probably contributing to that. But you're right. I mean, this has been the story coming into today, is what everyone wanted to keep their eyes on, but it really hasn't been the story that's had its conclusion as yet. With how tight the leaderboards are, a big win here for ZZ or Falcons could give them all of the bragging rights at the end of the day. So a lot to keep our eyes on there, but the rest of the lobby, of course, still contributing. ROC, DMG, who I think are the biggest surprise package, especially after the way that they were playing in game 1 and 2, that we were kind of scratching our heads. We're like, how is this working? But it has been working, right? And it keeps working. For some reason, they're getting into end games, they're getting points every game, and they are top of the leaderboards at the moment.
Yeah, they haven't found a win, but doesn't really matter if you find in the points. It's consistency, and they have been able to find that through pretty much every match we've seen them in today. But now we head into match 6. We've lost Caustic, Newcastle, Crypto, Alter, and Wraith before we head into this final match on World's Edge. And you know, we've had ups and downs. We've had lots of changes when it comes to legend bans, and region to region it does change a lot. But one thing that we've learned so far in Americas is how tight it is between these top teams. There's not much splitting them. Yes, we have a leader right now, but only a 14-point gap between like 1st and 10th. This is anyone's game.
It certainly is. And here we go, everybody. Lobby is live. This is the conclusion of Group A versus B for match day 7 here in the ALGS Pro League. And like Dan set up absolutely perfectly, if you're in and around that top 10 and you can win this game, you give yourself a great chance at winning the entire series. We're going to start off with the game winners of our previous game. That's going to be ROC Esports.
And they have an amazing chance to try and win this as well. I mean, we know how close they came at the Esports World Cup of winning the entire thing. They look like an incredible squad, but they just couldn't quite get over the finish line. But they have become one of the top teams in the world, and they might be able to put that on display for us here in match 6 as well, as they are going to get ring information, and we are going to be heading up towards countdown and landslide areas, maybe towards the drill site that is just in between the two.
Looking like it could be a little bit of a drill tower ending, certainly out in the open. Might pull back towards a landslide. Very rare that we see this kind of zone pull into Countdown, I would say, but with how the zones have been going recently, even me, who's pretty confident usually on zone calls, is a little bit split on where this one might be going, and certainly second guessing from what we've seen in scrims recently. Hot Dog Mafia, though, going to have good prio, but look how quickly teams are already there, Dan. You've got 6 teams inside a zone already in the first 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, as I said, now with the evac towers from Ring Console, it just makes you move so fast ever since that was added into the game, and just so many teams moving in. There's not going to be much room to play if you aren't there in the first 5 minutes with how this lobby has been moving at such a speed. But with it being the last match and with some teams kind of back against the wall, you know, remember, this is the start of the last 3 match days of the season. This is the last time we will see Group A go up against Group B. And if you are down outside of those regional finals places, this is when you might start to get desperate.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Maggie drill coming through at just a difficult time when you've got white armors inside of the truck, which always gives me anxiety. I think it's Masters of Evil who are inside of that truck right now. Unfortunately for them, didn't have any marshmallows down in the backpack to pop next to that riot drill. I feel like that's the best case use sometimes when you see that riot drill come through. Maybe just me.
Give me a marshmallow emote immediately so that I can start to fry it whilst I'm getting fried. Unreal Nightmare in 5th position. And again, they are within touching distance, and for a team that doesn't have any champs points, it's been quite the day for them. And, you know, they're up there. I imagine they should get to regional finals with the points that they've already accrued. And it really would be one of those stories that we talk about for probably years to come if they are able to make it all the way to champs, considering it's the Hail Mary on 0 points.
Did you say it'd be an unreal dream, Dan?
Yeah, maybe they should change their name. As we now see a team trying to approach through the tunnel, but this is never a fun fight to take, I tell you that. But Unreal Nightmare maybe not keen on taking said fight, and they're going to back off slightly here.
Yeah, I think it shows what their game plan is, right? They want to survive. They feel like they've got a good enough spot in zone here to survive. They have the Watson in the composition as well, so they can get a gen down if they will need it. Once again, the opportunity to toast some marshmallows presents itself. Grow Gaming trying to get a little bit aggressive on that as we take our attention over towards the respawn village here. The no-name outside of Fragment. And DMG, your lobby leaders on 51 points. Looking for some Evo and maybe they can throw some kills onto Pioneers of all people once again.
DMG, can they do it again?
KCP were just like, really? What?
Bro, please leave us alone.
What do we do?
By the way, in case you were wondering, and in case you are a numbers person like myself, Watson is the most picked legend here with 14. 13 Mad Maggies, may I add. ROC still trying to take this fight to 14k. And the Maggie drill is probably going to arrive after the Wrecking Ball.
I mean, you saw Wrecking Ball, you saw Ultimate coming in as well from Sparrow. All of these things, but that's great. Vaxilon's got a Peacekeeper, and Deeds, he's flying in as well. Looks like RSC are way on top of this fight.
And they're not able to really capitalize on it at the moment, though, and you can see they're reluctant to push up. Indeed, slightly oversteps. And that maybe just opens up the door a little bit, but great damage laid down by Vaxilon. And now Sorcerer also pushing out to try and capitalize because you have to. They're getting pushed from behind.
It's a really good Maggie Ball, though. I mean, look at that. You can't push that quite simply. So they hold their backs for now. Deeds is still down. But he's crawling desperately towards Vaxilon. Praying and hoping that nobody spots him out. It looks like they will be able to get the reset here.
So we almost saw one of our top teams eliminated early, but ROC will hold on. They will reset, but still means they're a little bit of a way off of actually getting into what would be considered a powerful position as we check on them with Falcons, 3rd place at the moment. Only 6 points off 1st place. They are still sticking with Seer, but they've moved over to Catalyst here.
Hal on the Maggie. LeaveNoWitness, a couple of warning shots towards the staging team. That is going to be Falcons. Sentinels right next to them, though. ROC back in the fight. And ROC looking to finish off 14k. Nano managed to shut the door, but having reopened it just to check who was knocking, is now taking a lot of damage. They know this is a duo. ROC want these KP, but it just keeps slipping through their fingers every time. Finally, Pluto will go down, and Deeds will be credited with that kill with the Eve Ray.
It is a somewhat isolated fight as well, so they don't have to be worried about a third party. But the question is, do ROC try and go back through said vault tunnel, or do they try and go around the western edge there? But you can see that Nice Guys are kind of holding that position, and just after them is Ninjas in Pyjamas, and now Pioneers might even be able to get into a spot where they could hold out ROC and vault tunnel as well. It's not looking comfortable for ROC. Just by elongating that vault fight and allowing another team to then force them back into Skyhook, it could really cost them this game.
There's been a little bit of a shift of the zone, just down towards the southern side of where initially we might have thought it was going to be going towards that drill tower. And Team Falcons now in a very good position. Interesting to see DMG, our #1 team at the moment, with TSM right next to them. Panic is on the gondola. Doing his own thing. And DMG are taking a bit of damage here. And Panic on the gondola gets that first knock. We'll jump into a listening with DMG. It's a 2v2 right now.
Where are they? Pressing on me. You gotta tap them.
What's on me? What's on me? What's on 100? One of me.
Where? He's running. In front of me.
Alright, let him go. Come back. Walking down. We have triple perp down.
What the fuck?
DMG get the better of them, Dan Gaskin. DMG get the better of them, boys and girls at home. It is looking like maybe DMG are going to pull off the impossible.
All full purples as well, so now that they can confidently walk in and won't be scared to take a fight when it presents itself. Now this is a fight that has been possible for quite a while. Nice Guys versus NIP. Wrecking balls come through, and now the fight ensues.
Big damage coming in from Kurev with these abilities, but it's a 1v2 for him to win. He has to hit the Shans, and Cody thrusting away, ulting away. Kurev's after him though. He's got a huge advantage. One bullet's enough. Nice Guys. Goodbye.
Yeah, Kurev did not want to allow him to get away. Now the question is, can NIP actually reset? Has any team pushed up on them? It looks like they're okay. Liquid Alienware could hear it, but weren't close enough to capitalize. CIMJ, the same situation for them. Although meanwhile, ROC still stuck up towards Skyhook. I think they're waiting maybe to try and get some extra information as ZZ on the bridge and are being pressured.
Hangout has gone down here from zero though, just to push that team away that was trying to hold them. So LeaveNoWitness who have had to back up a little bit. And if they can just inch forward and get some damage down, they will be safe inside of this zone. Looks like ZZ want this spot desperately now. Throwing everything at it as from the skies. The frag grenade shatters the shields.
Heavy bubble can go down. That gives them so much power in this fight as well, because they can avoid all the gunfire from elsewhere. 2 members from LeaveNoWitness will fall. Funk might go down as well, but I don't think it's going to matter too much for them. They should be able to capitalize on the previous knocks and get back up. Oh, wait! Not only are they going to be trying to reset, but DMG are here.
Yeah, DMG are here, and I think I'm a little bit worried that Funk maybe got a bit overexcited there. He got the 2 knocks, did not have to commit to that third one. And now it's about a timing issue. Are ZZ going to be able to reset? They do get Funk back up, but DMG looking to climb, looking for an angle. THUGGETS down in the meantime. And now come the grenades. In response, Funk is getting shredded.
Oh, this is a big push. This is a heavy push. This is absolute madness at its very finest as DMG eliminate ZZ. And again, DMG are looking like a championship-worthy team with the way they're playing at the moment, or they're looking just like a crazy team.
DJ Killer got to be careful here. They eliminate ZZ and conclude their day. Some words exchanged recently between the teams. And DMG will have the last laugh here on match day 7. Falcons on your screen right now, 3rd place overall. If they can focus in onto DMG, they might give themselves a chance of winning this game.
Wow, ZZ's chance is ripped away from them. After a pretty impressive fight initially, DMG capitalized on their position where they had to try and res. Now Unreal Nightmare, 6th position, but not looking comfortable here.
Yeah, that is not good. Unreal Nightmare gone. That was Grow Gaming, excuse me, Hot Dog Mafia, who were moving up to get that kill, use the bubble to take that truck away from them. ROC hovering a little bit further in and around Countdown. They've been moving down from this northern side for quite some time. Already have a couple of KP secured. And are in 2nd place in the overall standings. 50 points already on the board. But a tough rotate for them to have to make here.
ROC were being sneaky, but now they give away said position because they have to try and close this gap. You don't want to be leaving yourself too vulnerable from the high ground, so you just push them back, and then you can get underneath them, and ROC should be set there for now.
Over to the Drill Tower. Drill Tower by name, and Drill Tower also by nature, as the right drill from Legatron is going to get the knock onto Yanya, and the one on the edge of the bubble as well is going to make this uncomfortable for Team Liquid. They've got 14k below them as well. Should be able to get the reset here after the batteries and the medkits are popped. But they're not going to be comfortable once this bubble goes down. There's a lot of teams with LOS potentially onto Liquid here as Yanya goes down once more.
It's so horrible when you're up on this drill tower and everyone's looking at you, by the way, but they are holding on. Our Liquid Alienware should be able to get Yanya back up and then try and work out how on earth they get back down. It's all well and good being up there, but they're going to need another plan here as that zone has shifted back down towards Landslide.
Pioneers eliminated. Nice shots coming in from Vayne for Ninjas in Pyjamas, who have moved up into 4th in the overall standings now. The zone has violently shifted back towards Landslide. That is where we are going to be finishing here, as Liquid are just getting peppered by NIP on that drill tower.
Mythic Bin has spawned down there, by the way. I don't know if anyone's going to have the chance to grab it, so it might just be...
Yeah, some big cojones to get for that one, I'm going to say.
Little purpose, but it is just an extra carrot being dangled on the edge of a stick if someone does want to go for it.
Imagine if you were on my team right now and I went, guys, I'm getting Mythic.
What?
Guys, I died, res me. Well, that's what's going to be being said consistently here by Team Liquid, as this time it's McLovin who gets the knock onto Team Liquid on height, who finally will have their day ended here. They couldn't survive on that drill tower, but RSC now walking up behind NIP. 13 squads remaining here. Dark Veil goes down from NIP to try and survive and buy time.
DMG have a 7-point lead over ROC right now. It's an 11-point lead over the likes of Falcons. Like, DMG are getting kills on the board to really try to create a gap here, as ROC now having to push in because of this zone. Do they have an Ash Ball available? I know they have the Wrecking Ball, but they don't really want to have to use it right now.
We talk about how I joked about an AR meta, by the way, and Baxlon with the 301 is absolutely frying with it. Ninjas in Pyjamas have been eliminated. 12 squads now remain.
That's 3rd place going.
There's
that Halo.
Halo goes down. DMG taking damage. Is the Halo going to be enough to keep them alive, though? Falcons having a look back as the Ash Port will go down. There's KP here if they can hit the shot. CIMJ are down, and Howard's going to get 2 of them.
Falcons trying to catch up the lobby leaders, and they see so many teams across the way and are trying to pick up some free KP, but they have to be careful themselves. DMG out. Our 1st place team have been eliminated. Is there a chance then for ROC and Falcons to potentially catch them and take 1st place away from them here?
Well, Falcons are focusing onto ROC right now. 14k residents, they are out. The Falcons, one of the teams who have furthest to go at the moment with where this zone is going. Elsewhere, Zone Spam has just gone inside a zone. It's Skill Cakes who's going to get those final kills alongside Madness. Here's a setup for a classic Imperial Howl-led victory at the last moment.
There's still quite a lot to do for Falcons, though. You have to get through Sentinels first. ROC have just lost 1. Deeds will be taken down. Here comes the Falcons push, though. On to Sentinels.
Riley playing behind that gen. Waltz is going to find one onto Lota, though. Last one alive here from Sentinels. Durags are having a little look at this, though. They are extending away, as Guild & Co are chipping away at the knockdown shields of Sentinels. It's a matter of time here as they try and get the res. Riley survives for now. Hal's going to look for this kill, though. He wants the point. He knows how important this is for Falcons. Sentinels are out.
And that does just take Falcons above ROC, who are so close to being eliminated. And that grenade might just do it. Maybe the tether will do it, but Sorcerer's holding on, clinging onto his life.
Sorcerer looking for sorcery. He's just been knocked by the riot drill. Vaxelon and Deeds somehow alive, but the zone might kill Vax and Deeds before they can get the meds off. ROC are out. The door is open for Falcons.
Wide open for Falcons. They are 3 points shy of DMG, so they need 4 to win this series. And the return of Imperial Hal as IGL with his new roster could end up being a match day victory right here, right now. But I'm sure they'd love to top it off with an actual win here in match 6. But there is still a lot to do to get there. Falcons will hold the western side at the moment, but you've got Hot Dog Mafia to the north, Durags to the south, and then TSM and Masters of Evil holding the east.
Dropped it down, top 5. Bro Gaming eliminated. 50 seconds left until the zone starts to shrink, and Falcons have to make a play. They are a little bit tight in this corner here. As we go over to the other side of zones, TSM, by the way, on the ultimate height here, kind of controlling the pace of this lobby.
One more team wipe would be enough for Falcons to win this series, by the way. Doesn't look like anyone else can really catch them up. Masters of Evil are on 43 points, and here comes Falcons.
Off the back of the Maggie Ball, off the back of the drill, though, but Madness gets the first knock. Waltzy, it's all up to you. He finds one, but it isn't going to be enough for Falcons. I don't think so. To take first place away, as Masters of Evil will now look on the pieces of this fight.
Still will be a very successful day for Falcons, but it does mean DMG will be smiling from ear to ear as they hold on to first place right now. The closest team to the Masters of Evil on 44 points. They are 13 points shy of DMG. So they'd need every kill and to finish first place if they were to even get close to DMG here.
We've seen some crazy things so far today. That doesn't sound ridiculous. Maybe it does sound a little bit ridiculous. However, skill cakes and madness for the Hot Dog Mafia looking to get the res here. Every other team is focusing on each other, so they should be able to get Rambo back into this game. Rambo will get back in. Jen gets a knock with that riot drill. Megatron just trying to spray anyone who's going to peek, but TSM, even though they've controlled the game from this height, Dan, they will have to move at some point. They will have to leave that height and drop.
Sky nades considered, but held back. I have to wonder, is there a Watson pylon up there? But it doesn't look like there is.
It looks like there might have been. Did it eat it?
I think that exploded.
Okay.
The TSM are holding on. Riot Drill now going to come through, and it is getting ticks, but now Gibby Bubbles dropped. Hot Dog Mafia are going to take that fight. It's 2 separate 3v3s.
Masters of Evil catch duplex with his hands on his fences. Instead of on his gun, Durags are eliminating Masters of Evil down to just 2, Miles and Legatron. Ashport up late here just to try and inch in towards zone. Zone is hurting though. Skill Cakes is hurting more with that PK. Legatron trying to go huge. But with the P20s and a Thermite in front of him, he has to crawl towards zone. The game is over for Masters of Evil. Hot Dog Mafia versus TSM to close it.
TSM have got plenty of damage against them though. Hot Dog Mafia should clean it up, will clean it up. And Hot Dog Mafia get some much needed points for their chances of getting to championships.
Well, what a day. What a day it was, and what a final game of the Americas. We really are starting to heat up on our road to Sapporo, the road to the ALGS Championships. It just feels good, man. It feels good. It feels like everyone is starting to raise that bar a little bit more and really put it all on the line when it comes to making it towards Sapporo. Rain, come and join us, buddy, because that was a crazy, crazy last game. I think we had places, that top 3 was not safe, even inside those last few teams.
It was anything but safe, but what a great way to end this day after we had set up this dynamic conversation around teams and the power shifting. It was a great display of teams with a strategy in terms of owning how they like to play the game. DMG made us chuckle a little bit early, but it ended up working out for them as they said, we are going to do this. From the beginning chase to Cruel Buckle on Pioneers, all the way to finding that kill. Yes, it might have delayed them, but they stuck to the ideas that they were bringing to the table for this match day. And I think sometimes a bad plan executed well is better than a good plan executed poorly. And certainly DMG have shown that no matter whether their plan was good or bad, they were one as a team, and it's certainly proven to get them into the top spot. Another element, guys, Falcons on that chase. Wow, it felt like they might have just done it. The fairy tale beginning for Hal. Not the same for Zero, but I think there's not a lot for both teams to be upset about, Dan. They both look like they brought elements of what their roster could be to the forefront today on display. And I think you've got to feel good with that, knowing it's your first weekend in Pro League as a squad. And really, you're just working on something that doesn't need to be finished till mid-January.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's about practice, it's about reps when it comes to these two teams, but we all know that there was a bigger thing up for grabs here, and it was the ego between these two players. It was the ongoing battle that they've been joking about in scrims, or maybe not joking about. I don't really know at this point, but either way, it is going to be Falcons who get the win on this day against ZZ, but DMG are the team that we need to be talking about, because what an incredible run they had today, not only demonstrating that they can pull off some absolute weird stuff in the early games, but when they need to be aggressive, when they want to take those fights, boy, do they look scary.
Yeah, Mark, that was kind of it. As we take a look at our match results here, DMG obviously not getting the win in this game 6. It was Hot Dog Mafia, and I had alluded a little bit to...
Oh my God.
Wow. I had alluded to Rambo wanting to get back to those winning ways. Well, he waited till game 6, but man, 30 points. I think that's the second highest overall game we've had this entire weekend, gentlemen.
That's ridiculous. That's a 30-point game. I mean, most people get that in an entire day play, and you get it in one game, excuse me. Yeah, not bad. TSM, by the way, was 16, just dwarfed. I mean, 16 is a great game, but 30 is exceptional.
Look at that. Masters of Evil right behind. Let's go to the overall standings. We mentioned it. It was DMG who got the edge. Falcons tried their best. Rock went down early. NIP stayed sneaky in that 4th spot all day. And Grow Gaming go from a win yesterday to a 5th place today. They got to be feeling happy with that. But the story here has to be Hot Dog Mafia with 30 points to go from, well, what would have been 18th position to 7th. Unreal Nightmare with a great game, but couldn't quite finish it off. And then, of course, DMG with the win. Dan, you said we needed to talk about this team, but I don't know if that really captures it in such a big way. I think the bigger picture is that the spotlight was on 2 other teams today, and they truly stole it. And that was what we laid as the challenge down for teams to do. And it's always a good thing to see teams rise up to the occasion.
I mean, a squad who got into Pro League through the qualifiers, remember, they didn't earn their place through Split 1. They're not one of the biggest and best teams around that have been able to put as many reps in as the other teams on the big stage. But now they are on the big stage, and they've just been put on one of the match weeks where all the stories were about Falcons and ZZ, and they take all those headlines, they take the plaudits, and they're a team who we have to be looking on for going into like the end of these match days and going into regional finals.
Yeah, Mark, you pointed out Pioneer's not a great day at all. And not only that, 20th place, a team that's coming into this in 1st place overall in Americas. That's going to change quite drastically here.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed. Not a good. Obviously, they had to go through some enforced team changes, but it's a rough one, man. It's rough. 20th when you're 1st place. You come out today with more doubts than positivity for sure.
Well, let's take a look on the other side of it, which is the good side, the kill zone, the Sony in-zone kill leaderboard, which always highlights those teams that did perform. And DJ Killa, my goodness, certainly living up to the namesake, 23 kills, eclipsing the likes of McLovin, Gilderson's, Imperial Hal, Deeds, Saucerer, Rambo Zero, future streams on the same squad, jumping into that and then knocked there. I mean, when you consider that that's the people who you're competing with and you're at the top of that leaderboard, there's just something special about a performance that you put together today. DJ Killa going to have a lot of fans, and obviously, if they can keep this up, going to be making big waves in the ALGS market.
Yeah, I mean, that is a phenomenal performance. That is an outstanding, probably his best performance in the entirety of his career. To put those kind of numbers up on a day like this where the lights are shining brightest on other stories. I mean, the story is DMG at the end of this day, and the story is DJ Killa. And there were so many good plays that were made by him, and even a swap of compositions as well. You were looking initially, he was on the Wraith, then he was on the Lifeline. Like, very interesting to see the flexibility here for DJ Killer on the Ash as well. This spray onto Sykes, by the way. Sykes had no idea what was going on. This push in general onto ZZ, clinical. And ZZ will fall and really have their hearts broken in that final game. But you're looking across the games, 3-4-7, 3-4-2. That is a huge impact on a lobby. Very impressive stuff from DJ Killer. 05 to give me his full name, by the way.
Yeah, 05. Gotta get the 05 in there. And great year, by the way, 2005. And I'm sure he's not alluding to 1905. That might be a different year. Yeah, not that old. Yeah, be shout out to great grandma maybe or something like that. But I gotta say that was a fun one. That was absolutely fun one. I think we're working on trying to get DJ Killer here to have a conversation with us. But you know, DMG, they bring these really different compositions. It kind of reminds me of what we saw in the Open in terms of some of the lobby fraggers that kind of changed the pace for a lot of the teams sitting back, playing traditionally how they expect a zone to go. You hear the conversation in Scrim saying, well, this team is just pushing us. Why are they doing that? That's a whole waste of a Scrim block. Well, sometimes that's just the way the game is played. And when some teams mix it up on a weekend where the entire patches has come out and people are figuring things out, I think this is a great opportunity for DMG to say this was our moment. No one knows exactly what to play quite yet. Everyone's pretty comfortable. They're not expecting lifelines. They're certainly not expecting the pace at which we're pushing them. And we're just going to be committed to fights. And that to me felt like they had an identity. And Dan, when you have a team like this, to me, when I even raised the question, Gilderson's joining Hal, there was no doubt on whether they were good enough. But you throw Zero there, you throw Waltzy in there, you throw Jim Burton in there, you throw Verhulst in there. All those players are good enough to win. But what's the identity of this team going to become? And that's where I think DMG out the gate, no matter how far they go from here, they clearly have an identity. And that's, I think, a strong starting point for them here in the back half of the split.
Yeah, I think DMG are showing some very exciting signs, certainly going towards the tail end, where you've got to be getting to regional finals first. And then once you're in regional finals, are you a team that genuinely can be considered good enough to win the entire thing and beat off other teams who are all desperate to try and get to Sapporo as well? Because that's going to be the main target, the only target for all those teams in regional finals. And the way they played today, there's no reason why they couldn't be one of those teams who are at the forefront of regional finals and fighting their spot in Sapporo. Now, winning Pro League is an entirely different conversation. That's going to be very difficult considering how many points have been accrued so far by other squads. But winning regional finals is definitely on the cards for this team.
And just as a reminder, that's how you got to get there. Regional finals win, Pro League win, you got the LCQ as well. Mark, as we kind of settle down a little bit before we get into our closing thoughts, hopefully an interview is here, but just while we have time to spit back and forth, I mean, what's the come down, the kind of like, now that we've seen it, Hal and Zero, we started the day talking so much about it. We've talked about it throughout the games, but if we're going to put a pin on it, what does it look like to you that we've seen both of these teams demonstrate in these 6 games?
I think it looks like what both players have honestly said about their teams. I think the Falcons look more comfortable to start with. Obviously, you've got 2 players who are bringing a new third on. Hal said himself, he feels like it's a lot easier to IGL now than it used to be with the amount of information that you can get from playing in game. So him slotting back into that role, I don't think was too difficult for him. He's very comfortable to do. And I think for Zero, you know, he's been very honest. He's been saying, like, this is going to be a process for us. We're thinking about champs. We're not thinking about the now. We're thinking about champs. We're going to win champs. And I think if you keep that in context, it makes the excitement of building towards Sapporo even higher for everybody. Because if ZZ are hitting their peak there and Falcons are hitting their peak there and everybody else is peaking at the right time, it's going to be the best event we've ever had.
I certainly think it is. It's setting up to be that way already. And with teams like DMG stealing the spotlight in a day that was supposed to be about 2 veterans and their rivalry, well, we have to, of course, shift our attention to where it is commanded. And that is to DJ Killa, our kill leader of the day and member of DMG, who's going to be joining us now on voice. So we'll keep our faces and throw some maybe background gameplay as well. But I just want to make sure we say hello. DJ Killa, are you here with us?
Yes, hello, hi.
Hey, first of all, congratulations from us on the desk. It was great watching you guys play. I hope you are feeling good after the win today.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm feeling great about today.
So I want to dive in a little bit because we haven't had a chance to have you, especially this team, DMG, and how it's put together, but you specifically as a player here on this level of a stage. It's a big event. Obviously, you know, it was Zero and Hal coming off the same team and jumping back in, and yet we're interviewing you. So with this opportunity, tell us a little bit about your journey here in Pro ALGS, how you got here, how you feel about where things have stood, and a little bit about DJ Killa, so people at home who aren't familiar with you can get to know you.
Well, honestly, for starters, this is kind of crazy being first with Hal, Zero. I've always like watched him ever since console days. Yeah, I would always look up to them, try to get better, learn from them. At the start of Pro League Day, it was a bit rocky, but we like kept practicing, more momentum. We learned with each other, and yeah.
I'm going to follow up with a quick question here. Firstly, obviously, congratulations on today. I think, like Rain was saying, the story wasn't about you at the start of the day, but it certainly is now. Talk to me about the difference between yesterday and today, because it's a doubleheader weekend, back-to-back Pro League days. What switched for you from yesterday to today? What did you go away and work on to have this kind of result?
We warmed up. Every single time we played Pro League Day, we would never warm up. We always got on like 5 minutes before and instantly went into Pro League. But this time we actually took the time to play a wildcard game, do a TDM, and all of that.
But it certainly proved to be vital because you guys looked excellent, very aggressive at the right times. I loved watching your team fights, but we talked about compositions and legend bans a lot today. You pulled out the Lifeline, the only team to be using Lifeline today. Was that a plan that you wanted to be bringing in throughout the entirety? Are you comfortable with Lifeline? Is it something you've played a lot of in the past? Talk to me about the comps you went with.
Yes, Lifeline was actually my IGL choice. He's actually a very smart IGL. I trust him to like push me to my potential and learn how to play the game more. I do have Lifeline in the past. When I first started the game, I was a Lifeline main since season 0 to season 4. So it's pretty comfortable, and I played with her new changes too. And every single comp he wanted to play, I knew I could play off of him. He could tell me what to do. So he's a very good IGL.
And now I gotta say, because we may not be familiar, who is your IGL on the squad?
Future Streams, the GOAT.
The GOAT. Talk to me a little bit more. I mean, tell us about, since he's not on this interview and we haven't spoken to him much, Vicky actually said she played a couple games with him early on and recognized how cracked he was from that one game and mentioned it on broadcast yesterday. Tell us a little bit about what Future Streams does for this team, for your squad.
Well, he's okay. We all have our part, but I say like he's like the knight in shining armor of this team. Like, I know we all play our parts, but his macro, his micro, the little decisions he can make in an instant, very well done, put together. He's just all around. He's a very good player. He knows what he's doing.
Well, that's been awesome to hear, my friend. It's really exciting to see you guys succeed. And DJ Killa, obviously, whether it was Lifeline, whether it was Wraith, you guys were successful across the day. And congrats on your kill leader victory today as well. What a day and what a lobby. And it belongs to DMG. Thank you for the interview, man. Good luck in the rest of the split.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
DJ Killa 05 from DMG. Mark, I had to get that on for you just to represent the man's name.
Yeah, show the man respect. He's the kill leader in this lobby. Lobby winner.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I should have called him 23 because he had 23 kills today. Seems like a very, very cool, down-to-earth player there. I'm excited to learn more about them. And if they're obviously a LAN, that would be great to highlight. But they've got a lot of work to get there. And why do I say that? It's because these overall standings so far have set up DMG to be 5 in this split, but what does that mean for their championship points? We'll have to keep tabs on that throughout the week. Grow and Falcon, with their performances so far, with 5 series played, have clinched their spots, I believe, in championships, or maybe in regional finals. I'm not sure what that last chat was, but I know that they have clinched, and in a way that is going to, in the regional finals, there it is. That's what I thought. So regional finals have been clinched by Grow and Falcons, which has got to be music to Grow's ears, as well as Hal's coming back in, takes the pressure off with the second place, and everyone wanted to know what he did with his IGL status, Dan.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with how Falcons played today. I think that maybe they'll be a little bit frustrated they didn't take the whole thing, but as I said, there was bigger picture here. Ultimately, it's just about practice. It's about getting reps in. It's about just showing that you are going to be able to march towards champs and be the Falcons team that is expected to be there. They are expected to be at the very top of those leaderboards, but today it's DMG who take all the headlines, and quite rightly so. They played excellent.
All right, well, let's get some final thoughts from you guys after a long day here in EMEA's and now Americas to close us out. Mark, I'll start with you. DMG with the big win in the rivalry day, but a lot of fun action across the board.
Yeah, it's been a great day. I mean, away from Apex, been a great day for me personally in the sporting world. It's been great on the show as well, hanging with you guys, and some great gameplay, I think, from everyone. And I got to be honest, man, like, I keep talking about Sapporo, and all of us keep talking about Sapporo just as like this special occasion after what the event was last year and how big and amazing it was. And seeing the teams perform at this level, knowing we still have a couple of game days left, we still have regional finals left, I think it's going to be the best Apex event of all time. I really do think it's going to be like a real marker that is going to be something people talk about for a long time. And I think every team that's involved right now realizes how big that event's going to be. So the road to Japan continues. We've got a few stops along the way, but everyone looks like they're in fine form right now.
It's a great shout as well. And wouldn't you believe it? It was this year that Sapporo actually happened. It feels like it's just this other time in our lives. But my goodness, that was just a few months ago. But also having a kid this year, that actually happened this year as well. And, you know, her being 8 months, I'm like, that's crazy to even think about that wasn't happening in January. Lots of life can change very, very quickly. Dan, I got to get your final thoughts as well, my man, after 6 games here in Americas.
Yeah, incredible day. I can't wait for the conclusion of Pro League to see which team can clinch their spot in Sapporo, but also then regional finals. I think is going to be nuts because, yes, of course, there is the LCQ afterwards, but regional finals is going to be one of the last chances for these teams to find their spot at Sapporo, and it's going to be some of the best Apex that you're going to see online. So, yeah, can't wait for it. Had a blast today alongside you two, and we'll see how things go when regional finals come around.
Yeah, I'll get to see you guys in a few weeks. Obviously, there will be a little break in between, but mostly there's just nonstop action for all of our other commentators who will jump in and deal with next weekend's doubleheader as well. So thank you both, Onset, Gaskin. Incredible stuff. We'll see you guys October 12th to close out the regional finals. All right, well, coming up very soon next weekend, I mentioned it, we've got match day 8 around the corner. You want to be there because, yes, the stakes are always increasing when it comes to the ALGS. This Sapporo run, we mentioned it, this Year 5 championships coming up in January. Well, this is one of those days that is going to mean everything. It's that one to potentially final match day for one of our groups. So they're going to have to move in to get their 6th game and really make it count while they'll be waiting and watching for match day 9 to determine where they sit or whether they even make the top 20 for regional finals. Also, if you're interested in following us, make sure to check out our socials on TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube for Play Apex Esports, because guess what? We got a fun little giveaway going on there. That's right. 11,500 coins are being given away on Instagram, and they're being given away on TikTok, a total of 23,000 coins. Don't worry, I didn't do the math. I just knew what it was going to say. So make sure to follow us, comment, and that'll get you qualified. Maybe you'll wake up one day with a DM from Play Apex Esports saying, here's 11,500 Apex coins. Go have fun, grab some skins, and enjoy. Keep watching the ALGS. That would be a good day. So make sure that could be your day by checking out our socials. Oh man, what a great time it has been. Alongside Onset, Gaskin, myself, Rainday, and all of our crew production behind the scenes, we thank you so much for sticking with us, watching, and all the pros put on what a show. The return to Hal and Zero facing off against each other, DMG and DJ Killer 05 stealing the leaderboard, stealing the limelight. We'll see if all of that continues. From EA, Respawn, and everyone here behind the scenes for the ALGS, we want to say, never give up, never stop gaming, and we will see you all next time.